ராமானுஜதயாபாத்திரம் ஞானவைராக்யபூஷணம் ஸ்ரீமத்வேங்கடநாதார்யம் வந்தே வேதாந்ததேசிகம் லக்ஷ்மீநாதசமாரம்பாம் நாதயா முனமத்தியமாம் அஸ்மதாச்சாரியபர்யந்தாம் வந்தே குருபரம்பராம் யோ நித்யமச்சுதபதாம்புஜயுக்மருக்மவ்யாமோஹதஸ்ததிதராணி த்ரிணாயமேனே अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणु परकाल यतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यं नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रम् अकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः अचतुर्वदनोर्ब्रह्मा द्विबाहुरपरो हरिः अफाललोचनः शम्भुः भगवान् बादरायणः पाराशर्यवचःसुधां सुमनसः दुग्धाब्धिमध्योद्धृतां संसाराग्निविदीपनव्यपगतप्राणात्मसञ्जीवनीं पूर्वाचार्यसुरक्षितां बहुमतिं व्याघातदूरस्थिताम् आनीतां तु निजाक्षरैः सुमनसः भौमाः पिबन्त्वन्वहम् निगमकल्पतरोः गलितं फलं शुकमुखातमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवत रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकाः भुवि भावुकाः। सान्द्रानन्दवबोधात्मकमनुपमिदं कालदेशावधिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनः उरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावद्भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्तभाग्यं जनानाम् अग्रे पश्यामि तेजो निबिडतरकला यावळी लोभनीयं पीयूषप्लावितोऽहं तदनु तदुतरे दिव्यकैशोरवेशम् तारुण्यारम्भरम्यं परमसुखरसास्वाद रोमाञ्चिताङ्गैः आवीतं नारदाद्यैः विलसदुपनिषत्सुन्दरी मण्डलैश्च बाहुद्वन्द्वेन रत्नोज्ज्वलवलयभृता शोणपाणिप्रवाळेनोपाता வேணுநாளீம் ஒரு சஞ்சாரம் பண்ணுங்க வேணுநாளீம் प्रसृतनखमयूकाङ्गुलीं सङ्गशारां हृत्वा वक्त्रारविन्दे सुमधुरविकसद्रागमुद्भाव्यमानैः शब्दब्रह्मामृतैः त्वं शिशिरितभुवनैः सिञ्च मे कर्णवीथीं योगीन्द्राणां त्वदङ्गे श्वधिकसुमधुरं मुक्तिभाजामिवासो भक्तानां कामवर्षद्युतरुकिसलयं नाथ ते पादमूलम् नित्यं चित्तस्थितं मे पवनपुरपते कृष्ण कारुण्यसिन्धो कृष्ण कारुण्यसिन्धो हृत्वा निशेषतापान् प्रदिशतु परमानन्दसन्दोहलक्ष्मी अज्ञात्वा ते महत्त्वं यदिह निगदितं विश्वनाथ क्षमेतः स्तोत्रं चैतत्सहस्रोत्तरमधिकतरं त्वत्प्रसादाय भूयात् वेदानारायणीयम् श्रुतिषु च जनुषस्तुत्यता वर्णनेन स्फीतं लीलावतारैरिदमित कुरुताम् आयुरारोग्यसौख्यम् जानकीकान्तस्मरणं जय जय राम गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं गोविन्दा गोविन्दा. With the abundant grace of Paramatma and with the benign grace of the presiding deity of this beautiful temple, the Hindu temple of Greater Chicago, Lemont, and with the amazing coordination instituted and orchestrated by GC Vedic, and through all the astikas and the volunteers, here we are on the 6th day, the penultimate day of the Sapthaham series. The 7th day tomorrow shall culminate with Sri Rukmini Parinayam. As announced, it is between 3 and 5. The color code is not announced because you can wear anything what you feel like. So, the greatness of today, day 6, the Vaibhavam today is we have Vaibhav. Right? He's learning under a very good friend of mine, a great flautist, Sri Jayant. So he will do a good job. I'm generally ek to cholore, like the bong. So I walk alone. So today I've without any mamatai in me. Now that I've spoken about Bengal, I should not have any mamatai in me. I have to walk with him. So these 5 days have been a wonderful journey for both the speaker, the Vakta, and the Astikas, the Shrota. So we began with, why did Bhagavatam come into picture? Srimad Bhagavatam came into picture because Parikshit was ordained to die through a takshaka, a snake's bite, in the 7th day from then. So that is when he goes and sits in the southern banks of river Ganga, and Dvayashta Purvam, 16-year-old young boy, Shukabrahmam comes. And he says, if you have any questions in your mind, please ask. See, which Acharya will ask like this? Right? That is the greatness of Sanatana Dharma. You go and knock the door of someone and say, please ask questions. See, is there a civilization like this? If you ask questions, there are civilizations that will condone, that will say bad things. Here, Shukabrahmam comes on his own and says, ask questions. And Parikshit, as usual, he had questions and he patiently asked one question after the other. And Shukabrahmam, in his own fashion, gave detailed replies to those questions. Remember, I've told this many times in many lectures, and most of the Astikas take it in the right spirit. Questioning is right, but the tone and tenor of the question matters a lot. And you should never pre-conclude the answer to any question. This is how the answer is going to be. Then you are not open to that question at all. So here questions were beautifully raised. See, as much as we appreciate the answers in Srimad Bhagavatam, we should also learn the art of questioning. That we get from Parikshit. And in those set of questions, how did the creation happen? Who protects? Who takes care of the dissolution? All this comes in detail. There is a Kala Prakriya, Sthala Prakriya, there is a Dvipa Prakriya. What Dvipams are there? All this is there. I'm not getting into those details because as such, 2 hours every day, 14 hours. Technically, if I do a Bhagavatham Sapthaham in Kerala, morning 1.5 hours, afternoon 1.5 hours, evening 1.5 hours. Like this for 7 days. So I get close to 35-36 hours. Now I'm not even getting half of it, 14 hours. In that, if I have to describe the Kala Prakriya, how many Nimishas come, how many Muhurtas come, there is a calculation in Sanatana Dharma for time. So we calculate by Ghatika. Ghatika is also interestingly, can anybody say during the Pallava regime, have you heard of the word Ghatika? What is Ghatika? Huh? The Pathashalas used to be called Ghatika. Remember, in Pallava times, because our great masters from the Occidental civilization, anything from the west is called Occidental, anything from the east is called Oriental. So Occidental masters will say, schools were introduced by the Britishers in India. Before that, all of them were like Tarzans and Mowglis in India. They were all jumping tree to tree. Aryabhatta is a creation. Valmiki, Vyasa, they had no dress. This is the way we have been told. And we have never been able to counter. We are all very humble people. Annaya, Yatanaya, Nayandidum, Tanmayan, Naichanu Sandhanam. Ghatika. In the 4th century, there is an inscription in the place called Yennairam. That inscription states how many students studied in that hostel. What food was given for breakfast. How many teachers were employed. How many acres of land they were given. And what was the vacation period? All this is recorded in the 4th century inscription, 1100 years before the birth of Cambridge. In Yennairam in the south of India, we have an inscription for a Ghatika school. There were many such Ghatikas. So Ghatika is one measurement, unit of measurement. Muhurtam. See, in a day we have so many Muhurtams. There is a Muhurtam called Vinda Muhurtam. I'll tell you the greatness of Vinda Muhurtam. Because I have not been able to cover many sections of Bhagavatam. I'll tell you the greatness of Vinda Muhurtam. Vinda Muhurtam occurs every day. The timings may change. During Vinda Muhurtam, if you lose anything or anybody, you lose your phone, you lose your smartwatch, Fitbit. What is it? Fitbit. Fitbit. If you lose Fitbit, report into queue. Oh no, okay. So, he's watching me. So, if you lose that watch, the Muhurta Shastram says you will get it back. In Vinda Muhurtam, if you lose, you will get it back. That is the Pariharam for Vindam. How do we know that? In Srimad Ramayanam, if you read it carefully, in Aranya Kandam, when Rama meets Jatayu, the bird indicates through its body language by hitting its beak on the ground and says when she was lost during Vinda Muhurtam, Rama, so she will come back to you. So we have time calculation and all of that in Srimad Bhagavatam. Then we also understood the greatness of the Lord's avataram. We learnt Varaha avataram. You know Varaha avataram? Varaha Rubam Deva Varishtam. Our great Rishabh Shetty. He has given advertisement to Varaha Swami. So if wherever I speak about Varaha, Rishabh Shetty. So we discussed about Varaha Avataram, then Nrisimha Avataram, Kurma Avataram. You remember day 4? 7:45, Kurma Avataram. Then Matsya Avataram yesterday, starting. Then we discussed Vamana Avataram, day 4, before Krishna Jananam. Vamana Trivikrama. Then we discussed Amsha Avatarams, Kapila Vasudeva, 1984 Kapil. Then we Maharishihi Kapilacharyaha. Then we discussed Rishabhanatha while discussing Jainism. Rishabhanatha. Then we discussed the life histories of great Bhagavatottamas like Dhruva, Prithu, Ambarisha. Then we discussed one great big yagam called Daksha Yajnam. Then we entered Krishna Avataram. We also discussed Vatapatra Shahi. We came to Krishna Avataram. In Krishna Avataram, we discussed Krishna Jananam in detail. If you remember on day 2, said day 2, day 1, day 2, day 1. Why I am telling you this is we have to take efforts to remember. Remember. This is a civilization that has lasted only through memory. In the later centuries only we depended on manuscripts. For the amount of manuscripts that were burnt between the 11th and the 16th century, we shouldn't have received even one grantham today. Not one grantham. Even till about 40 years back, in Kanchipuram there was a Tatacharya Swami who had memorized 1,25,000 shlokas of Mahabharata. We had such Mahans. Now you may ask, what is the use? So what is the use of our existence? Have you ever questioned that? Namma irundha enna prayojanam Swami? Shothukku dannam bhumikku bharam. Yeah. He managed to remember 1,25,000 verses. People ask, what is the, if you go to this Guinness Book of World Records, what all world records they create? Right? Sheedaya, the maximum number of sheedays rolled in 1 hour. Adukku record. இந்த மாதிரி உருப்படாததுக்கெல்லாம் கிடைக்கிறதோ. So he remembered 1,25,000 verses. So we had acharyas who could remember so much. So we should remember day 2. While discussing Jadabharata Charitram, I said Jati Smaraha, and I also spoke about a Tatkratu Nyayam, and I said it will come one day. It will come now. See, as per Tatkratu Nyayam, Krishna says this is a Nyayam which existed before. And Krishna mentions of this in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. What he says is, what you think while the Jivatma is leaving the body, that you shall be or become. That is Tatkratu Nyayam. So Jadabharata's Charitram is a blatant example of it. He thought of the little deer, he became the deer. But this is only for Bhakti Yoga Nishtha, not for Nyasa Yoga Nishtha. For a Sharanagati person, even if he thinks of a nurse, he won't go anywhere close to Kerala. He will go to Vaikuntham. So, if we go by Tatkritu Nyayam, imagine I am thinking of a deer while the Jivatma is departing. Then I will become the deer. Imagine I'm hearing of somebody describing the scene where Krishna consumed the milk of Putana. Somebody is saying, the speaker is saying, let us go traditionally to an Upanyasaka. Oh, Putanai vandalam, and the Perumala Madila Itundalam, Itukumbodu, and the Kodande, Pale, Kuduchidam, Ade, Kurta, Bhattadri, Sadikarar Hare. Somebody is saying. That moment that Bhakta's Atma leaves the body. So if the Jivatma leaves the body, mortal body, while you are listening to Krishna consuming milk, as per Tatkratu Nyayam rule, you should be born and be consuming milk from someone. The scene should be enacted again. But there is an exception to this general rule. There is an exception to most of the rules, even in maths. Sin x by x, if you differentiate, limit x tends to 0, which is sin 0 by 0, which is 0 by 0 is indeterminate. So then you use the L'Hopital rule. and then you say sin x will become cos x, x will become 1, cos 0 is 1. So there is an exception to the general rule. So the exception to the general rule is, if you listen to Krishna drinking milk from Putana, then you shall never be allowed to drink milk from any other woman. Which means, the exception to the general rule is, if you listen to Krishna Charitram of Putana Vadham, you will get moksham. Na punarjanmam na babhuva, says Vedanta Deshika. So that is Tatkratu Nyayam. Now, Krishna was fond of jamun. You know jamun? Not that gulab jamun. That fruit, what is it called in English? Nagaparam English. Stand up on the bench. What is the English name for Nagaparam? Berry. Berry samanya vachaka shabdam. It can be raspberry, blueberry. What is Nagaparam? English le getti karalache. Gooseberry is amla. What is the name? Java? Plum. Oh, okay. So Java has patented it. Java, which is an island in Indonesia, has patented it. Is Java plum. That is called as Jambu. It is said that the Dweepam is in its shape. That is why it is called Jambu Dweepe. Even Periyalvar uses this Navalam Tam Tivu, he says. So this jamun fruit is very tasty. Some of them may like, some of them may not like. But our concern is not whether we like, Krishna liked. So one lady from the forest used to take all the pain to go fetch those jamun fruits in a basket, and she used to come selling jamun fruit. So she used to come selling. But when you come through the gullies of Gokulam, every house, when during Krishna's time, the lady would come running, chasing Krishna. Krishna, why did you break my pot? The other lady would come and say, Madhava, why did you do this? The other lady would say, Padmanabha. At the same time, he would trouble everybody. So every lady would come and chase Krishna. So as she entered the street selling jamun, she used to be hearing these words, Madhava, Keshava, Padmanabha, Damodara. So at one point in time, she got so accustomed to those names, instead of saying Jamun, Keshava, Madhava, she started selling, it seems. Govinda Damodhara Madhaveti, says Leela Shuka. So this became a bazaar. See, I don't know how many of you have had the time to go to one beautiful ruined city today. Hampi, it is called, in Karnataka, in Bellary. That used to be the empire of Vijayanagara Samrajyam, and erstwhile in the Ramayanam period, that was Kishkinta. So in the 16th century, Bahamani Sultanate, if you all remember the history, Bahamani Sultanate from Bijapur and a few other regions attacked Vijayanagara when it was slightly weak. Then they didn't acquire the city. They took about 35 months to destroy the city. Hard-working people. So, while we still have ruins, because they were all constructed in hard granite, it's not easy to break them also. Make them and break them, both is tough. There is a street called Bazaar Street in Hampi. You can still visit there. There are inscriptions which state that in the evenings, merchants from Africa and Europe would come to Vijayanagara, and they used to trade. So they used to take elephants and give giraffe. So African merchants used to give giraffe. The trading used to happen. After the trading was over, in the evening time at around 5:30, the merchants would come and keep a blanket on the bazaar floor, and they would sell gems, rubies and diamonds. So they will be, now we buy those avarakka, all those vegetables like that. They used to sell gems. So there used to be bazaars where diamonds used to be sold on streets. We have an inscription for that. Now when Krishna was there and this lady came selling jamuns, as she kept listening to those names, Abhanga Swami says it didn't turn into a normal bazaar, it became Namatsa Bazaar. It became a bazaar where names were traded. Give me one Madhava for two Damodara. Namatsa Bazaar, Pandari Namatsa Bazaar. So it used to be sold. Now, this lady, she managed to reach the front yard of Nandagopal's house. She said, Jamun, Jamun, Jamun. Krishna loved it. So from the backyard, he had to bring some grains to barter for the Jamun. So he was a bulky boy. So by the time he would run from the backyard to the front, from the Palakkadai, it is called Ungal Pulakkadai Tottattuva, we will say, right? From there he had to come running to the front yard. So what would happen is all the dhanyam that he held between his palms would fall on the ground. By the time he reached this lady, there were only 2 grains attached to his palms. He felt very bad. But then he still said, please give me the jamun. Ideally, that lady shouldn't have given any jamun. But she said, okay, take these jamun. Oh, sorry, I wanted to bring the dhanyam. There were only 2 attached. I'll go get them. She said, I don't need the dhanyam. Then Krishna asked, then what should I give you? She said, give me moksham. See, moksham became a normal commodity during Krishna Avataram. Anybody who comes here and there, moksham guru, moksham guru. Vikretu kama kila gopa kanya murari padarpita chitta vrittihi dadhyadikam moha vashadavocha govinda damodara madhaveti sujata rekhatmaka shankha chakram tamrodaram tasya kararavindam vilokayantya phala vikrakanya. She bartered jamun fruit and got moksham. Now Krishna asked, how do you know that I will give moksham? Sujata rekhatmaka shankha chakram. I can see the rekha of shankham and chakram in your fingers. So Krishna used to have that butter. Yesterday we spoke about his love for butter. Tiruppan Alvar, one of the Alvars, most revered Alvars, who has sung the least number of Pasurams, who is one of the Alvars who never put his name in the Prabandham, was asked by one of the journalists, how would you like the last minute of your death? When you're going to die, you should have a scene. You can choose that picture. Background, screensaver. What would you like? கொண்டல் வண்ணனை கோவலனாய் வெண்ணையுண்டவாயன் என்னுள்ளம் கவர்ந்தானை அண்டர்கோ நணியரங்கன் என் அமுதினை கண்ட கண்கள் மத்தொன்னினை காணாவே. என் அமுதினை கண்ட கண்கள். He says the screensaver should be like this. Krishna is quietly, secretly taking butter from the pot and leaving some traces on his countenance to say that I am the one who has stolen it, and I should see his eyes, chanchala drishti, and the beautiful scene should come to my eyes in the last minute. என் அமுதினை கண்ட கண்கள் மத்தொன்னினை காணாவே. Why will it see others? When I've seen my Ranganatha of Srirangam, will I see anybody else? He asks. So this was the greatness attachment that they had. Yashoda was one day churning the curds to get that butter. So technically, getting butter at least 60 years back had another method. So we didn't have many series, Family Man, Special Ops, nothing. So the wives of the Beverly Hills, all this was not, never have I ever, all this was not there. So the biggest entertainment was listening to Upanyasams. So people will go to Astika Samajam, Ayodhya Mandapam, and while they used to leave their houses, in the Horlicks bottle they will take buttermilk. So the 2 hours they'll keep shaking. By then, Hayyangavinam, that butter would have come. So Yashoda was churning the curds to get the butter. And it would take at least a week for her, because remember, churning generally, technically never used to happen after the sun has risen. You have to do it before the sun rises. Else, there is always possibility for you to not get it in the correct texture. That is why Andal, while waking up in the early morning, she says, see, the sun has not risen. Then the girl inside asks, Andal, why should I wake up? How do you say this is early morning? She says, Mattinal vosai padutha thairaravam kettilayo. It is early morning because the sun has not risen. The women here are deployed in getting the butter out from the curds. So after a week's hard work, the butter used to be accumulated with the buttermilk in a huge pot and used to be hung from the ceiling. Yashoda was feeding Krishna. As she was feeding Krishna, she heard the milk cooker shout. So she had to go switch that milk cooker off. She has to take that log of wood out. So she left Krishna halfway while feeding him and then went inside. This is a very bad with Sriman Narayana. One of the bad habits that he has, doshams he has is, if you surrender to me alone. Very bad habit he has got. While mentioning to Arjuna, he says, Mam ekam sharanam vraja. You may ask, why only to him? Your choice, don't. But that's his choice. He exercises his Article 15 and democratic right. He says, well, I say surrender only to me. But we are generally very doubtful, right? See, if we organize a good Arangetram, we'll check how the power supply is. I don't know, here in Bharata Desham, we'll check if the generator is also on. We will always have a backup. When we leave for any place, we will have a stepney and check if the tire is there. But in Bhakti, you cannot have this backup system. Surely, vechirken na avarkitta marandu poitarna inno rendu per kitta solren. Yeah. That is why Deshikan, Vedanta Deshika says this very beautifully. He says, Tvai rakshati rakshakaihi kimanyaihi. When you have pledged to protect me, vowed to protect me, why do I need others? When you have vowed not to protect me, there is no use of others. Tvai rakshati rakshakaihi kim anyaihi. Tvai cha arakshati rakshakaihi kim anyaihi. When you have chosen to leave me, there is no use of going to others. It's a very important part in Vedanta, because the Western world always thinks Sanatana Dharma is polytheistic in nature. We believe in multiple gods. No. We believe in the Parabrahman who's polymorphic, who has the ability to come in any form. We believe in H2O, whether it for the bleeding condition which should be used as ice, which is a solid state, or whether it has to be consumed as water in the liquid state, or for sauna in the gaseous state. H2O remains H2O. The bonding is very clear. That hydrogen will bond with oxygen, so on the other side. So oxygen will have 2 bonds on either sides. This is so we are not polytheistic. See, at times we are so humble and ignorant and innocent that we accept such translations. Gods, gods, gods. Now, Krishna felt a lot hurt. How dare my mother leave me halfway and get inside? I will teach her a lesson. Little boy. He stood on the mortar and he broke open the pot, her hard work of 1 week, with 1 stone. And all the butter fell on him. The buttermilk was all around. The Vyakhyata writes, Kshira Arnavattil Kidandavan Mora Arnavattil Irukindran. Ksheerarnavathil kidandavan, the one who's used to sleeping on the ocean of milk is now in the ocean of buttermilk. Morarnavathil irikindran. So, Krishna got angry. He was fully smeared in butter. Yashoda comes running. I have been very patient with you, my boy. I think you should be shown the rod. I will teach you what it is to be an Indian mother. So she started chasing Krishna. Hartum kumbhe vinihitakaraha swaduhayanga veenam drishtva damagrahana chatulam mataram jatarosham payadishat prachalita pado napagachanna tishthan Mithya gopasapadinayane milayan vishvagopta. So as she started chasing him, he too started running with his bulky body. She ran and he ran. At one point in time, Krishna thought, if I make my dear mother run like this, I may have to deploy a priest very soon. She has asthma problem. So he stood. As he stood in a frozen condition. Napagachanna tishthan. So both his feet were not on the ground. One on the ground and one in the air. Napagachanna tishthan. He neither sat, nor ran, nor walked. As he stood with a ball of butter, even then that ball of butter was there in his head. So while he was holding it, he turned back and looked at Yashoda. Yashoda too stopped. The moment he stopped, she too stopped. He turned. And she was checking, whom is he looking at? How did he look? Vedanta Deshika says, he looked at Yashoda as if to tell her, Amma, na poi vadachirpena Amma. You know, that look that you give matters. Parvai bondre podume kalla, parvai bondre podume kalla parvai ondre podume. You know, I used to talk in my school days very much, even when it was not required. So the teacher used to break the chalk. Dushyanth! Ma'am, me? Milayan Vishwagopta. So Krishna gave a look as if, Mom, are you pointing to me? Do you think I would have spoken? For a second, Yashoda was mesmerized in his looks. She said, nothing doing, I have to teach you a lesson. I can never keep sparing the rod and spoiling my child. She dragged him to the front yard of her house. She said, I have to find a way to coach you, to correct you. She found one rope. Damam. Damam means rope. But that damam, Shukabrahmam says she got that damam. But our Alvars were greater visionaries. They gave details of that rope. Whether it was made in India, China, Taiwan, they have to give those details. What material, it is polyethylene, vinyl, what is it? So he says they couldn't get one single strand of rope. See, in those couriers, you get those FedEx, Blue Dart. So there will be some ropes, right? Nandagopal had this habit of preserving those ropes. Small ones of varying sizes, colors, textures. One day, whenever he used to have time, while looking at some TV show, he used to do that knot and used to create a long rope based on these small ropes. So if you get into that rope, it will look like designer rope. It won't be one. You will find sudden paithani, one small cut. In that there will be one ikat. There will be a Banarasi brocade. All this because Shastram says in Kuchela's Upakhyanam, which we will be doing tomorrow, Kuchela, see his name is Kuchela. Technically, there is no mention of his name in Bhagavatam. He is not called Kuchela. Kuchailasya. There is no mention. Sudama is also not there. Sudama is mentioned as some other friend. We say Sudama is Kuchela. There is no mention. It is said that one friend. But there is a description of him and his wife. is kuchailasya. Chela shabdam is vastram. Ku is a prefix that is added when it is not great. For example, Angarakam. Angarakam ashrayamyaham Vinata Shrita Janamandaram Mangalavaram Bhumi Kumaram Varam Varam Angarakam. Angarakam. Mars is called by the name Kuja because his birth was not great. Kujanma iti Kujaha. He felt a lot bad, not great about his birth. That is why he requested Mahalakshmi. Mahalakshmi, please give me some auspiciousness. She said, my brother who's born with me, Chandra, is Monday. So you go next to Chandra. I will bestow auspiciousness on my brother Chandra. Since you come after Chandra, your Amangalatvam will go and Mangalatvam will come to you. So it is called Mangalavaram. Mangalavaram Bhumi Kumaram Varam Varam. So Ku is a prefix, not very great. Kuchela means one who never had one strand of cloth. See, in those days, large bales you'll get. You'll have to cut and men and women have to drape as a sari or a dhoti. If you take two different pieces of cloth and stitch together, it was a sign of destitution or poverty. So stitching was generally not allowed. If you take two strands of cloth and stitch together, but today that is designer. You get two different strands of cloth, it becomes designer. Tulasi and Kanakavalli say that. Now, as Krishna had to be tied to that rope which is formed as a result of smaller ones is called as Kanninun Siruthambu in Tamil. Kanninun Sirutambinal Kattuna Paniya Perumayan Yennappan. The greatness is, in Tamil it is Yennappanil. But Prativadi Bhayangaram Annangarachar Swami, a great Mahavidwan in Sri Vaishnava Sampradayam, used to state, Yennappan, my great Swami, Yennappanil, then Nil should come, it seems. So Krishna had to be tied. Now where to tie him? She found one mortar. See, her front yard, Nandagopal's front yard was like US garage. In most of the houses that I visit, I won't even know how the main door will look. I will go through the garage. There will be one ultra grinder, there will be one ninja mixie, all the Gulu Bommais dabba, then that water bottle can, one fridge, 2 cycles, one broken, one on the wait for breakage, all that will be there. So the front yard of Nandagopala was like US garage. So Western civilization had a huge impact in Bharata Desham even then. So there was a mortar. That mortar used to be broad at the top. Top view it is circular. Broad at the top, tapers to the middle, then goes increasing southwards. So this was a mortar. Ulukam, Ulukhalam. So now Yashoda thought, let me tie Krishna to that Ulukhalam so that he doesn't trouble. While she tried tying him around that Udara Bhagam. Udaram is this belly portion, fat. That belly is called Udaram. With that Damam she tied. Since she tied the Udara Bhagam with Damam, he is called Dama Udara Damodara. So while she had to tie him, there was a shortage of a little rope. She found no other rope was there. What to do? She was tired, profusely sweating. That is when Krishna said, give it to me, I will tie it on my own. Kanninun Sirutambinal Kattunna Panniya Perumayan. He made himself so accessible so that she could tie. She tied him first. Now she had to tie to the mortar. As she tied him to the mortar, for a second, She was amazed. She didn't know which was the mortar and which was Krishna. Both were dark, both were broad at the top, thin in the middle. Which is mortar, which is Krishna? The Vyakhyata says, Onnu aludu, onnu alavillai. One cried and the other didn't. So from that she understood this was Krishna. As she tied him to the Udara Bhagam, see, this is called as Panchakacham. When we tie it, you can check how to tie Panchakacham also. There is one great video. There are many places where we make the fold. So technically there has to be 5 places where it has to go in, come out. It's called Panchakacham. When we go to the traditional mathas, be it in Smartha Sampradayam, I go to Kanchi Matam, Shringeri Matam for lectures. Then Piriva says, you come eat and go. I go to Ahobala Madam. Our Acharya, Srimad Adishingar will say, Chatudpo. So invariably all the Acharyas will be very hospitable. They'll say, eat. You know, when we sit for a lavish feast, first thing we'll do is to loosen one of the kachams. First we will loosen, because slowly the tummy will increase, right? Then it will be tough. We'll get that mark. Whether Krishna has got or not, we will get that mark. So we will loosen. Now, as Krishna was tied with that rope, after Yashoda had left, she said, Yadi shaknoshi gachatvam ati chanchala cheshtita sa chakara kutumbini. This is an important shlokam in Vishnu Puranam. She says, Yadi shaknoshi gachatvam. You move from this place, Badava. Ati chanchala cheshtita sa chakara kutumbini. That lady who has never even heard of a word called Vedam is now telling the Swami Vedanayaka, if you move from this place, you see. Biramanu mildiranum manadil poramai kolla. Biramanu mildiranum manadil poramai kolla. Uralil katti vaipoti kenja vaithai taye enna tavam seidane Yashoda. Amma vilzhazhaika enna tavam seidane Yashoda. Now, as Krishna was tied, she went in. In that little cavity in the upper torso of the mortar, there was some butter. Krishna continued eating. As he ate, his tummy size increased. So that rope which was tied to his Udara Bhagam slowly shifted places and came to his chest. The commentator writes, பிள்ளையோடு சேர்ந்து மனாட்டு பெண்ணையும் கட்டி போட்டாள். Along with her son, she tied her daughter-in-law. Mahalakshmi is here, right? Which mother-in-law will have the audacity to do this? The reverse may happen. Vice versa could happen. And the mamiyar, she is the only mother-in-law who tied her daughter-in-law. So, now, Krishna was tied to the mortar. Krishna couldn't stay idle. So he sat on the floor and started crawling. He noticed 2 large trees that were the landmark of his house. He saw one small gap between the trees and somehow managed to squeeze his body in the gap. Like how? Like the great auto driver of Chennai. If you go to Chennai, large buses, the automan, Yampa, ipdi pora. Setravan sir onakunde. Engene theriyalepa. See, it is called the auto. Auto means independent, right? Swatantra, he's like Parabrahmam. And there are 3 wheels. Ishvara Tattvam, Chetana, Achetana. Rahasya Trayam. Tattva Trayam. He will take us. So Krishna somehow managed to peep and get through the cavity formed between the trees. But the mortar couldn't follow him. He tried pulling. He pulled the mortar, and as he pulled it with that force, that mortar pushed those two trees down. When Putana came, living room went missing. Inside the house, he broke the pot. When he was kept next to a Shakata went missing. Full of damage, collateral losses. If you take that company's annual sheet, what all properties they had, one after the other, went away. Now the two trees went away. Poor Nandagopa, who had gone for some marketing elsewhere, he went to some brand lab. They wanted to rebrand, relaunch their products. So while he was walking by the streets, he had to enter this house, but those two trees were not there. So he went to the next house. Yashoda, Pankajam Mami comes. This is next house is there. Then he went. See, I go for lectures to many places on regular basis. So Kerala is a place I love. So I go to Thrissur. Those of you who have heard my Mahabharata lectures, most of them are from Thrissur. So there's a little village in Thrissur called Pungunnam. Pungunnam Ariyam. So there is a beautiful Sita Ramaswamy temple. I go there. Wonderful audience. And I stay with the Bhagavatas family. Very nice people. Extremely attached. Both of us are to each other, and every time I'll stay. So in 2016, I was still employed. So my company had to send one courier. So they asked for the address. So I asked that Mama, please give me the address. Periya mango tree irukku. Mama, I cannot give such addresses. House with a big mango tree. Who will give? Give me the proper address, Mama. Then only I can send. And then he gave the address. So the address for their house was those two trees, and that landmark also went away. But who were those two trees? They was housed the sons of Kubera who were cursed by Narada, called Nalakubara and Manigriva. So they did a beautiful stuti of the Lord. And Nemam virincho na bhavona shrirapyanga samshraya prasadam lebhire gopi yattat prapa vimuktida nayam sukhapo bhagavan dehinam gopika sutaha jnaninam chatma bhutanam yatha bhakti matamiha. Then slowly the people got together in Gokulam and said, see, we have been living here for generations together, but something we all unanimously feel is it is not conducive for our dear Krishna. The moment he was born, that lady Putana came. He was kept for safety next to Shakatam. That Shakatam became Shakatasura. He was left on the pedestal outside the house. Then a tornado called as Trinavarta took him away. Today we leave him in the front yard, those two trees fall. Something is not so good about this place. Let us shift. Will you ever do this? See, you are living in a community, neighborhood community. In some house, good things don't happen in that house. They feel that the house is causing those problems. They are leaving. When they are leaving, what best we can do? We shall miss you. The world is small. See ya, stay in touch, mua, and all that we will say. What more will we do? Just because that person is shifting, will we shift our house? When Krishna was suffering, the entire village shifted. That is the love that Gopika Stris had for Krishna. They were ready to sacrifice their livelihood. Where to go now? They spotted a close by neighborhood. They can't go very far. See, when there was no flight and bullet trains and Amtrak and Magellan train and all of that, transportation was not easy. Today you want to go to Muktinath, even now you can take a flight to Delhi to Kathmandu to Pokhara to Jumsum to Ranipova and horse ride, you can finish and come. You have the money, you have the facility. You won't believe, if people lived in the south of India, to go to Tirupati was like taking a space mission. It was not easy to go to Tirupati. There is no one way. Shri Madmakila Mahimahi Mandala Dharani Dhara Mandala Khandalasya Nikhila Sura Sura Vandita Bara Kshetra Vibhushanasya Shesha Jala Garuda Jala Simha Jala Vrajava Jala Narayana Jala Anjana Jala Dishikari Mala Gulasya Nadara Vibhupadamaya. Oh, this way and all we say in SVBC, we go there. We take 1 lakh ticket. It was not easy. Going to one Divyadesham needed money, and then there is no A to B, B to C. On the way, Sangeeta's, dosa, honest cafes, idli, Kailash Parbats, all this was not there. They had to carry food. They have to cook everywhere. Imagine that we all would have lived during those times, because Atma is Nityam. We don't remember. We all lived that way. Now for 1 floor we have 1 lift. 10 steps, there is arthritis problem. Ramanuja climbed Tirumala with his knee. We can't even imagine. In Natya Shastram, there is a way of dancing called as Janu Brahmari and Garuda Brahmari. It's a very tough task in Natya Shastram. You have to dance with your knee. You have to do a circle with your knee. With that dress, it will tear. It will be so forceful. It's called Janu Brahmari. You have to go. Ramanuja climbed 1,000 steps with his knee. Very tough. So here, they thought where to shift. They had to go to a close by place. That is when some of them Googled. And ChatGPT said, go to a new place, real estate prices are less, magnet schools will come up. So that place is called Vrindavanam. Vrinda Shabdam means thorn. While I told this in one of the Gaudya Sampradayam lectures, they all came and fought. Kya bol rahe aap? Brind to tulsi hai. Brind to tulsi hai. Ab kya kyun thorn bol rahe hain? Kyunki brind tulsi hai. Ye vrind hai. In Bengali as a language, there is no letter va. So every va will become ba. So Vrindavanam will become Brindavanam. When it becomes Brindavanam, Brinda means Tulasi. But Vrinda means a type of thorn. This place nobody constructed because it was infested with thorns. But Nandagopa said, let's all walk and clear those thorns and make good pastures there. Mandam mandam madhura ninadair venuma purayantam. Vrindam vrindavanu bhuvigavam charayantam charantam. Chando bhage shata makha makha dvamsi nadanavanam. Hantaram tam kathayarasane gopakanya bhujangam, says Leela Shuka. Bilvamangalam Swami he is called. So as Krishna walked and the others walked, the thorns slowly became grass, it seems. You know, Robert Frost says, right, 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveller, long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the one as just as fair and having perhaps the better claim. He says one had more grass in it. So as he walked over the layer of thorns, it turned grass. Because anything that is hard, ரொம்ப கோபக்காரனா இருக்கானே, கல்யாணம் ஆனோன்னு சரியாயிடும். சாஃப்ட் ஆயிடுவார். முள்ளா புல்லா மாறிடுவார். புல்லாய் பிறவி தர வேண்டும் கண்ணா, புனிதமான பல கோடி பிறவி தந்தாலும் விருந்தாவனமிதில் ஒரு புல்லாய். புல்லாய் பிறவி. Give me a life as that of grass, but all your cities are beautiful. But the poet says I should be born as grass in Vrindavanam. You may ask, why not Schaumburg? Why not Naperville? He chose. He has exercised his democratic right. He says, I want to be born in Vrindavanam. So they all shifted to Vrindavanam. One day, as the boys were playing, Krishna once went and told his mother Yashoda, Mother, yes my dear boy, I want to go and earn. You are barely 6 years. You don't know anything but eating. What will you go and earn? No, earn while you learn. Are you learning first? Then you can earn. No, I want to earn. What do you know? Batao to sahi. What do you know? I know how to let the cows and the calves graze. So I don't know, many of you may have forgotten. In my household, if we don't study well, they would tell this. One mother in Chennai, she came and complained, sir, I told the same thing what my parents told me to my son. He said, buy me cows. So this boy said, I shall let the cows and the calves graze. I shall take care of them. My dear son, Krishna, when you go by the banks of river Yamuna, you will find many thieves, Dakanda. Don't go there. Oh, Mom, haven't you seen my FB profile? I call myself as the leader of thieves. Yamuna Nadi Karayil எப்பொழுதும் கள்வர் பயம் யமுனா நதி கரையில் எப்பொழுதும் கள்வர் பயம் கள்வனுக்கு கள்வனே இப்பொழுது போகிடுவேன் மாடு மேய்க்கும் கண்ணே நீ போக வேண்டாம் சொன்னேன் மாடு மேய்க்கும் கண்ணே நீ போக வேண்டாம் சொன்னேன். So it's a beautiful conversation between the mother and the son, which Uttukadu Venkata Kavi in his own style has captured in the form of a beautiful composition. Krishna says, okay, I'll go. She couldn't stop her son. He is the Swami of Tarka Shastram. Who can even argue with him? So he had one WhatsApp group. Krishna. He messaged everyone. All boys, Pichu, Raju, Chandru, all of you be ready. Morning 7 a.m. Let's meet. கரவைகள் பின் சென்று கானம் சேர்ந்து உண்போம் அறிவொன்னுமில்லாத ஆய்குலத்து கரவைகள் பின் சென்று கானம் சேர்ந்து உண்போம். Let us go together and have good food. Vanabhojanam. So each of them was given one dish. It was like that potluck. One lady, she said, I'll make coconut rice. The other said, Gonkura annam nenu chestanu. Innobru nanu bisibela baat ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಮಜ್ಜಿಗೆ ಹುಳಿ, ಗೊಜ್ಜವಲಕ್ಕಿ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಗೊತ್ತಾ ಕನ್ನಡದವರಿಗೆ ಗೊಜ್ಜವಲಕ್ಕಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. So எலுமிச்சம்பழம் சாதம் செய்கின்றேன் என்று ஒரு தமிழச்சி கூறினாள். Kem cho majama mein unjho thepla chunda. Krishna asked, my dear mother, these are the options that I've got from my friend. What are you planning to make standard? Rasa mandala madhye manidvipa manimaya chitre. In that middle, ruchi. So they all took that dabba, and those boys had never seen 7 a.m. They'll wake up only at 10 a.m. Krishna has said they were all so drowsy. Krishna, why have you called us? Come, let's go to the forest. They all came. In the due course, a snake which was about to swallow those children was killed. And then after killing Agha, they sat by the banks of Yamuna. It was 11 a.m. lunchtime. So they all sat in a circle. Krishna too sat with them in the circle. That is when they all said, Krishna, please go and sit in the middle, Krishna. Why? Go and sit in the middle, Krishna. We want to keep seeing you while we eat. Krishna went and sat. 1, 2, 3. They opened their boxes. So each child rolled that coconut rice, that gonkura rice. They all kept it in their palm. Krishna, what did he do? He took the curd rice in his left hand. See, while I was telling this in Vasant Vihar, I gave one Navaham and Sapthaham in Vasant Kunj, Delhi, in English. So I said Krishna was having curd rice. Many got offended. You are making him a South Indian. Krishna would have had chapati. I said he may have had chapati, but that day Shukabrahmam says Masrila Kabalam. Masrila Kabalam means curd rice. I can't help you. You have to go question Shukabrahmam. So I said, but one thing. He had curd rice in the left hand, pickle in the right hand. So that way he has also satisfied you. Both hands he is using. So, Bibradvenum Jatara Pataya Shringa Vetyecha Kakshe. So, as Krishna was holding that curd rice here, that pickle in his achar, whether they are achar or achar, they were had achar here. So, while they were having this, the boy said, Krishna, please taste this coconut rice, Krishna. The other boy said, please taste Gonkura, Krishna. The commentator asks, those boys haven't seen what is Agama, but they knew that the first ball of rice has to be offered to Paramatma. They didn't eat. They said it has to be offered to Krishna. What Shastram have they studied? They were all putting their hands in the front and saying, Krishna, have this. On the other side of the flowing waters of Yamuna was a little habitat where one lady who was a widow used to live, and she used to survive, and she used to have a little son. Every day while she used to feed him around the same time, the boy had one question. It was repetitive in nature. The boy would ask, Mother, please tell me where Swargam is, where heaven is. Every day the boy would pose this question, and the mother would be duty bound to answer, where she would point her fingers to the sky and say, that is where Swargam is, that is where Vaikuntham is. The same child, the same question to the same mother, the same question was posed today. My mother, tell me where that Vaikuntham is. Instead of putting her fingers to the top, she said, that is where Vaikuntham is, pointing where Krishna was. Bibradvenum Jatara Pataya Shringa Vetyecha Kakshe Vame Parnau Masrila Kabalam Tatphala Mangyulishu Tishtan Madhye Swapadi Suhrudo Hasayan Narmabhisvaihi Svarge Loke Mishati Bhubuje Yajna Bhugbala Kelihi. So Krishna had a wonderful time with his friends. Again, there is another belief. While all of them went to the waters of Yamuna to wash their hands after having lunch, the rishis transformed themselves into fishes so that they can consume the remnants of Bhagavan and Bhagavatottamas. So this was the Anubhavam. Krishna said, I will wash my dabba and also come. My mother said, you have to do your work from today. You will get married soon. You will have to do this every day. So, I will wash those dabbas and come. You all go wait. Pichu, Raju, Chandru, you all go wait. So they all went. After washing his dabba, he went, Pichu, Pichu, Raju. None of them could be spotted. This is where Sanatana Dharma clearly showcases the gunam of Devatas, the Rajo and the Tamo gunam of Brahma. See, Brahma had this mood swings. At times he will do stuti to the Lord. Next minute, how dare this Krishna showcases that he is somebody great, I will teach him a lesson. So he stole the Pichumani, Rajamani, all his friends and the cows. He wanted Krishna to suffer. Krishna started searching. Meanwhile, Brahma took all them away. Now Krishna was answerable to those parents. What did he do? He remembered that he is a Paramatma. That very second, he became that Pichumani. He became that Rajamani, and he became that Ratna Store's Dabba, and he also became that curry leaf which people leave towards the end. So that day when the boys went home and the mother said, she suddenly thought, I'm having a special, genuine, special attraction to my child, oblivious of the thought that her son was none but Krishna. So while washing the dabba also, she was so attached to the dabba. Yennamark dabba. Because she was washing Krishna. So for 1 year, these children were none but Krishna. Now let's go to where Brahma is. Brahma has stolen the boys and the cow and cows and calves. Now he goes to his lokam, Satyalokam. The Rakshakas outside, the Dwarapalakas, they say, sir, wait. We can't allow you inside. I am Brahma. Sorry, sir. We have Brahmaji inside. Now Brahma peeped. He saw next to Saraswati there was another Brahma. Now Saraswati looking at the Brahma shouting from outside. She tells her husband, who is this man? The original Brahma from outside says, Saraswati, do you remember he's holding that pot on his head? Nyaburkama? Kanne, Kalaimane? So I am the Brahma. Saraswati, sorry, we don't entertain such people here. This is not a traffic light. Meanwhile, these boys who have been stolen, give me butter. Yo, iriya namakke yadam lenge. So Brahma thought the abode of his is gone. He has to bring these boys down. By the time he brought these boys down, there was already one Pichumani there. Where to keep this boy, these boys? That is when he realized his ajnanam. See, this incident, besides the humor element that it has, there is something else beyond it. We often are told in Amar Chitrakatha, Brahma is the creator, Shiva is the destroyer, Vishnu is the sustainer. That is not what Vedanta says. At primary level, all this is okay. But Vedanta says Paramatma himself does all of these. So that is when Brahma realized, oh my God, the creation has been done by Krishna. He says, Krishna, please showcase yourself to me in your true form. That is when he opened his eyes, he saw the Pichumani on ground, had Mahalakshmi in his heart. Oh, this is the Lord. Krishna, please forgive me, he said. That very instant, Krishna became the earlier Krishna of 1 year because they have time traveled. Who was searching for Pichumani, Pichu, that entire previous scene came. Now these boys were sent by Brahma and Krishna made sure that these boys forgot what had happened in this time period. What is that charm? Obliviate. Correct? So they forgot. Now when they went home, they started telling, Mother, today there was a snake and Krishna killed it, and you had sent that Gonkura rice. That mother, Gonkura I made last 1 year back. Why is this boy talking about it now? Because that boy does not know that 1 year has taken place. The gap is there. That is why the question, now I'll read out the question. The question asked by Parikshit to Shuka is, Yetat kaumarajam karma hareratma hi mokshanam mrityoho paugandake bala drishtvo chatur vismita vraje. Hey Shuka, I've heard from my grandfather, who is Arjuna, that one incident in Krishna's life occurred while the boys were 5 years of age and was narrated while they were 6. Tell me that incident. Kaumarajam Paugandakam. Kaumarajam means 5 years. Paugandakam means 6. Like the second year here, you call it sophomore, right? Sophomore, right? Likewise, 6 years is called Paugandakam. Teach that also here. What are you? Paugandakam. 5th year na Kaumarajam. But 5th year la medical la da varum nikkire. Later arrears vecha varum. 5, 6 la, but Paugandake bala. Now this is Vatsapaharanam. This Sambhavam is called Vatsapaharanam. Vatsam means calf. It was stolen, which means they were all kidnapped. That is Brahma's achievements. So, Naumidyate Bravapushe Taditam Baraya Gunjatavata Sapari Pinchala Sanmukhaya Vanyasraje Kavala Vetra Vishana Venu Lakshma Shriye Mrudupade Pashupankajaya. Now, Krishna one day told his dear brother Balram, अब घर में ही थोड़ा रेस्ट ले लो. Balram said, why? No, अब थोड़ा रेस्ट ले लो Balram ji. And Balram started taking rest. Balarama is a very interesting avataram. He is an Amsha avataram. He will have power, but he will have the limitations of a normal human being. It is not a complete avataram of the Lord. That is why later in Mahabharatam, if you read Balarama's verses, he would be drinking a lot, bar at law. So, Vinaiva Ramena Vibhukkadachit. So, without Rama, they went to the forest. They went to a lake formed by the Yamuna waters, because when a river flows, generally rivers may meander. When they meander over a period of time due to tectonic shifts, the meandered portion gets detached from the original course and forms a lake called as the Oxbow Lake. So, from the Yamuna waters which meandered was a lake born of Yamuna waters, where people never used to go because they were worried about the existence of a snake with a virulent poison called as Kaliya. So Kaliya used to pollute the waters so much so that the waters were so polluted that the shrubs, the grass, the meadows and the trees around immediately in the vicinity of the pond were dead. So Krishna thought Kaliya is not meant to survive where humans live. It has to live elsewhere. In Bharatadesham we have lot of problems of the stray dogs. Animal lovers find it very offensive. You either adopt the dog and treat it well, or they should be going to a national park. They are not meant to be on the roads, because they will end up eating plastic and their behavior will change. Then they will start biting. Menaka Gandhi will get angry. Now, here Krishna thought the snake has to shift elsewhere, either to Yellowstone or somewhere it has to go, or Amazon. So Krishna wanted to create a scene where he admonishes that particular snake. So while he was playing, passing the ball with his friends, wantedly the ball fell into the waters of the lake. Krishna went, stood atop the bent branch of a Kunda Shakha and jumped. There was no source or trace of leaves on the tree. But Krishna's presence, as he jumped from the tree branch into the waters, a small leaf emerged. Krishna jumped into the waters. Immediately the boy started shouting, Krishna has jumped into the waters. We have to go tell Yashoda Mata, Yashoda Mata. Krishna has jumped into the waters. Yashoda Mata. Kaliya is there. They all came running and circled the lake and they all started lamenting. They thought Krishna is dead. The same scene was reimagined by Bhattatri in Guruvayur, and he for a minute thought, how could a little boy of such young age jump into the waters with no support, with no prior experience in swimming? Is this possible? As he thought, he saw the sound of some bubbles emerging from a close by water body. He peeped and saw Krishna performed the Natyam again for Bhattatri. As Krishna emerged with the snake, Athavarini Ghorataram Paninam Prativarayitum Kritadhir Bhagavan. Athavarini Ghorataram Paninam Prativarayitum Kritadhir Bhagavan. Drutamarita Tiragani Patarum Vishamaruta Shoshita Parnachayam. Drutamarita Tiragani Patarum Drutamaruta Shoshita Parnachayam. भुवनत्रयभारभृतो भवतो गुरुभारविकं पीकविजुम्बिजल परिमज्जयति स्म धनुशतकं तटिनी झटिति स्फुटघोषवति अधिरुह्य तत फणिराजफणान् ननृते भवत मृदुपादरुच कलशिञ्जितनूपुरमञ्जुमिळत् करकङ्कणसङ्कुलसङ्क्वणितम्. As Krishna danced, I told you Krishna bulky body, he was not worried about his weight. He danced. No prior training in this dance. Salangai Pujai, Arangetram, Aramandi, Mujumandi, Kalmandi, Kalatukku, Itatukku, nothing. This mudra, this is this mudra, this mudra, this mudra, this mudra, lotus, nothing he learned. But you know this Charitram, Lord Shiva married one of the greatest dancers. Parvati is also equivalently talented in dancing. Auditor will marry only auditor. Dancer married a dancer. So for a change, she said, we are always in Kailash. We have to go elsewhere. So they came to an area which was infested with tillai trees. So as the husband and wife would dance, there was a competition and she called her brother Vishnu for being the Solomon Papaya judge. So as they would dance, Vishnu had to judge. But while dancing one particular day, Shiva's kundalam fell. Shiva takes that kundalam with his foot, takes it up. It's called urdhvam. Urdhvam means upwards. And then he fixes it into his ear. Parvati says you should not do karanas which your opponent can't do. And they ask for a judgment. Vishnu says, Shiva has won. Despite being my brother, you have supported him. She went angrily and settled as Tillai Kali in Chidambaram. Next day they had the same competition. Vishnu said, if it's a one-day affair, I can judge. Every day both of you are dancing, I can't do. So he started reclining on the serpent couch and became Govindaraja-swami. So as Shiva would dance, you know, if people generally ask me in interviews, which is one of the most favorite forms that you have seen, I'll say the form of Nataraja. See, Nataraja's form is not a photo shoot. See, generally before the Arangetram, you'll have that photo shoot. The girl has to stand like this. Then there'll be one click. Then she has to do the Pada Puja to the Guru. There'll be one click. It was not a photo session for Shiva. As he danced, you keep clicking photos. Tuck, 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 tuck. One of the frames was like he stood like this. He had to lift his hand and come. This is a beautiful frame captured in iconography. In my little knowledge, I can tell you, there is no image that can come close to Nataraja's pose. Perfect it is. Now, Shiva was a great dancer. His wife was very proud. Parvati, my husband, one of the greatest dancers, Nritya Kalanidhi and all, she used to say. One day she said, Neenga enna aadre? Parvati, you should see my brother dance. Huh? Who? Krishna, that fatso. What can he dance? Let's go to Vrindavanam and see how he dances. They went. They were surprised. She said, see, Shivaji, when you dance and the stage doesn't dance. Whereas when my brother dances, he dances while the stage also dances. See, it is so tough to dance on a dancing stage. How will I speak? ஆடலை காணத்தில்லை அம்பலத்திரைவனும் தன் ஆடலை விட்டு இங்கே கோகுலம் வந்தான் ஒரு ஆடலினால் சிறையாதவனே ஒரு மாமணி ரகணி மாதவனே நீ ஆடாது அசங்காது வா. So he danced. Such a beautiful dance. He danced on Kaliya. Kaliya had a migraine. What should I do, sir? You leave this place, go to some other place. Ramaniyarka Dweepam, somewhere you go. Krauncha Dweepam, wherever you want. But Garud will come and eat me. See, Garuda in his Vibhavavataram will eat snakes. True Garuda will eat snakes. Just because he eats snakes in the temple, we cannot give snakes to Garuda. Agama Garuda will eat puliyore. See, there is a difference between real Garuda, because the moment we say some party from Tamil Nadu, our Pambai unnigirar endrar, Pambai kodukkalam allava, kodukkalam, but not in the temple. Temple he has to have only puliyodrai. See, here Garuda, Kaliya was worried, Garuda will come and eat me. That is when Krishna says, don't worry, I have danced on you. I have done Samashrayanam on your hood. So there will be Shankha Chakra Mudra. Garuda, when he sees Shankha Chakra Mudra, he won't come and eat. So Kaliya, this Sambhavam is over. Next, Krishna, I told you that day itself, his teacher said, take to some instrument. So he took to flute. Meanwhile, the women in Vrindavanam, they all aspired to marry Krishna, all of them. So if you are born as a man, a boy, alongside Krishna during his times, you have to remain bachelor eternally. Because any lady, she'll put the photo of Krishna in her bedroom and keep seeing it. But Krishna technically thought it is very tough to for his mother to manage so many daughters-in-law. Yeah. So they all observed a vratam called as Katyayani vratam. Katyayani Mahamaye Mahayogin Yadishwari Nandagopasutam Devi Patimme Kuru. Please make Krishna as my husband. That is when Krishna said, see, one autumnal night I will give you an anubhavam. That anubhavam is an experience for your life. Meanwhile, while this anubhavam happened, one day Krishna went to the living room. He found his father discussing something with his close friends. What were they discussing? To do Indra Puja. Abala prekshaniyam pranataniyamisher adbhutanam pradhanam dhuta trailokya dosham dvajamamarapates turnamuthapayantaha grishtina marchana vistuti gunanikaya gita nrutyopaharai udvela pritilola vidaradhura vikalai utsavam gopavruddha. So they wanted to do an utsavam for Indra. Krishna was a little boy, not even 7 years. He went and asked his father, my dear father, now that there are elderly people, very well civilized, educated people around me, can I have the opportunity to say a few words? Krishna, the moment he said educated, Nandagopal said, where is that educated? But you speak, Krishna. Krishna said, see, it is Indra's duty ordained by the Paramatma to be responsible for the clouds and precipitate when and wherever required. He is not doing as a volunteering service. He is paid to do that. To a person who is already paid through Havis in the Yagam, you don't have to give Mamul. He is already paid. You know, we get these dialogues, sir, நீங்கள் அவருக்கு ரூபா கொடுங்க, ரூபா கொடுத்தா கொடுத்த ரூபாக்கு நன்னா வேலை பார்ப்பார், which is bribe. You're bribing him and saying for that bribe he receives, he works well. Arey, he is already getting a salary. So Krishna said we don't have to celebrate and honor those people who are already doing their job. Rather, you would end up celebrating and commemorating and giving respects to a volunteer. Who is that volunteer, Krishna? For all the cows and calves that are allowed to graze on the meadows and the slopes, it is Govardhanam which gives those grass. What do we give that Govardhanam in return? Let's go do Annakutotsavam, Father. As you say, Krishna, this is what made them stand out. Nammalana utrupoma. Why should we change the rule? What is so happening? That is why Krishna did not give us moksham during Krishna avatar. That is why we are still in 2023 talking about moksham, not knowing when we will get moksham. They all blindly followed Krishna. Now you may ask, isn't the logical mind, should we ask questions or not? Keep asking questions. Ask. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam, iha samsare bahudustare krupaya pare pahi murare bhaj govindam govindam bhaj mudhamate. So these people said, Krishna, what you do, we will follow. So they all took cooked food to do Annakutotsavam. Annakutotsavam is still performed in Vaishnava temples. In Shiva temples, there is another way. It is called Annabhishekam. So they all went in bullock carts, stationed themselves at the foothill of Govardhanam and spread on the ground Mama's Veshti. Mama's Veshti is a multi-purpose Veshti. உங்காத்து வடா ரொம்ப நல்லா இருந்தது, அவர் வேஷ்டியில் போட்டேன். So they spread the veshti and loads of cooked rice was placed like a parvatam, big mountain. Atop the hill of cooked rice was placed the concoction of well stirred and fried and seasoned paste called as pulikachal. Now you may wonder, sir, is all this mentioned? Vedanta Deshika says the big mountain of Annam was looking like Kailasha Parvatam, and the pulikachal above it looked like the dark clouds that envelop Kailasha Parvatam. Why should it be dark pulikachal? Because people who cook know that pulikachal should be made with old tamarind, which will make it dark. Pudu pulila panna nanna irukadu panni varum. So as the food was placed in front, various sweets and dishes, they were placed. What is it? Gajar halwa. Gajar halwa. All that was placed. These gopas were very innocent. They said, let the mountain consume. How will the mountain consume? Is he 1986 Ganesha of Washington to drink milk? So how will it consume? But only if the mountain consumes, they will believe their prayers were answered. So Krishna said, you do a parikrama around that mountain. As they went around the mountain, aham vaishvanaro bhutva, Krishna ate everything. And the moment they arrived, he said, see, the mountain is so happy with your prayers and it is consumed. Well, they all went home. Very innocent people. Number uduvamo. There's a big gajar halwa placed here. Krishna eats. Narayan has said gajar halwa is mine and he ate. Uduvamo. Chapter poraravar. So here they all were happy, they went home. That is when Narada goes and reminds Indra, your puja will not happen, it has happened to Govardhanam. Indra calls different kinds of clouds and there is a catastrophic precipitation, cloud burst on Vrindavanam. It was pouring cats and dogs. The water levels rose, they entered the houses. They all went and knocked at Krishna's house. They were all shivering in the cold. Vedanta Deshika says, how did they shiver and how did they speak? They were shivering so much, it looked as if as they were speaking, the veena was placed in their mouth. Vadita danta veenaha, he says. Stanahita swastika bahubandha stanyalaka sannata vaktra padma vilagna deha vasanaira vishayan vrajastriyo vadita danta veenaha. Playing veena. Krishna, please come and save us. Krishna said, follow me. That's why he said it's not logical. Krishna Avataram is beyond logic. He went to the foothills of Govardhanam. With his nakha, he drew a boundary around the Parvatam in the pouring waters, lifted the mountain. Can anyone believe this? He did. He lifted the mountain. Harivamsham Yadavabhyudayam and Periyalvar say something unique. He reversed the mountain. Then only those cattle will get the grass to eat. He reversed and held the Parvatam for 7 days. 7 days. And Yashoda is feeding him. So he was holding the Parvatam. The friends of Nandagopa got around Nandagopa. Nandagopa, yes? Is this genuinely your son? Why you are asking Pichu? You have done no such act which is worth mentioning. Your boy lifts the mountain, dances on a snake. Even Nandagopa had the doubt now. You do not know how many hills I have lifted in my childhood. It was not brought to light. We were all very, very quiet and innocent in nature. My mother didn't make a big issue out of it. He stood with that mountain. Govardhana Giridhara Govinda Gokula Palaka Paramananda Govardhana Giridhara Gokula Palaka. Now he lifted that mountain. 7 days. Even the clouds lost their water content. They turned white and they started moving. Clear skies. All of them went home. Krishna placed Govardhanam the right way at the right place. What everybody says, what is in for me in Bhagavatam? What should I learn? What you should learn is, if you take something from a place, you have to keep it back in that original place. This is the lesson from Bhagavatam. Even management you can learn. So if you're charging your cell phone, take it back. Now, as this Parvatam was placed, Krishna was playing his flute like Vaibhav. That time Indra came seeking forgiveness from Krishna. He said, I have done something wrong. There is something very unique between Ramayanam and Bhagavatam here. At the commencement of Ramayanam, Indra was the one who went to the Lord and said, for Dharma Samsthapanam you should be born. And the Lord said, I shall be Siddhagandharva Yakshascha Tatasvam Sharanam Gataha. I shall be born as Rama. And he did the right job of establishing Dharmam. And towards the end of it, when Rama Pattabhishekam happened in Ayodhya, everyone attends the Pattabhishekam but Indra. Read the last sargam of Yuddha Kandam. Indra doesn't come. He sends one gift through Vayudeva. He doesn't come. He says some prior commitments. So, really, I'm really sorry about it. I just can't attend. Please don't take me the wrong way. He doesn't attend. But it was for him that the Lord incarnated. Your request, you have put a petition, the Lord has accepted that petition, and the petitioner himself doesn't come. So in Krishna Avataram, in Rama Pattabhishekam, everyone but Indra came. In Govinda Pattabhishekam, when Krishna lifted the Govardhana, it was looking like a crown. And Indra brought the Nandini, Avin, Heritage, Arogya, Milma, Kauma, and they did Abhishekam to Krishna. So it was Govinda Pattabhishekam. In Govinda Pattabhishekam, no one but Indra came. Patita Sura Ripu Padapa Brunda Pavana Charita Paramruta Ganda Natya Raswas Gata Nana Bharana Narayana Tirthachita Charana Govardhana Giridhara. Now, as Govardhana Uddharanam Sambhavam is over, Krishna told those women, that I will give you one anubhavam, one autumnal night. It was around 7:38. One lady was in the kitchen and she was managing the milk. She had to boil the milk, oblivious of the fact that the milk won't boil when you keep looking at it. The milk will never boil. If you keep looking at it, it won't boil. You just turn a second for it, it will boil. Milk has that third eye, jnana drishti. It will say, wait, I'm just going to come up. Let that man suffer. Let him clean and clean and clean. So it will boil. Have you heard of Bhartrihari? Yaravar? Kavi, what has he written? Subhashitas. What is it called? What? Shatakatrayam. What is that Shatakam? Very good. Niti Shatakam, Vairagya Shatakam. Very good. 3 Shatakams Bhartrihari has written. Chicago audience, intelligent audience. Had it not been Upanyasam, he would have done 3 cheers, mommy. We'll do it later. Now, in those Shatakatrayams, there is a shlokam where Bhartrihari says, milk and water are the thickest of friends. Milk and water. It is in chemistry. It is called colloid and colloid, liquid and liquid. Their viscosity is similar. That is why they get together. Whereas water and oil will not have the same viscosity. That's why there is a demarcation. Milk with oil together are good friends. They mix with each other. That is why our milkmen, they don't want to separate such friends. They'll keep adding water. Now, how will you separate those 2 friends? By bringing the enemy, that is fire. So fire is lit in the bottom. Fire is the enemy that separates water from the milk. So as water, one of the friends turns into vapor and goes at gaseous state, the milk down says, Paradesi, Paradesi, jana nahi mujhe chhod ke. And the milk boils to show that emotion that it is being separated from water. How will you pacify that? Pour little water. Keep quiet. I brought your friend back. Go. So one lady was boiling milk, 8 p.m. She heard Venuganam. உங்களுக்கு என்ன ராகம் பிடிக்கும்? தூங்க வச்சுள்ள வேலை நீலாம்பரி As she heard that Venuganam, she was mesmerized. The milk boiled. Another mama was eating chapati with dal. That dal was in that ladle. He's saying dal, dal. She was mesmerized. Each lady, see, in Vrindavanam, all the women were admirers of classical music. None of the men were admirers. See, in a house where both the husband and the wife are admirers of an art form, it is an advantage. Both can come for the Upanyasam, take the prasadam, whatever is made, eat and go. One person stays at home is the problem. அவர் வரமாட்டார், சங்கீதம் புரியாது, எதுவுமே புரியாது. எப்படி பிடிச்சுட்டார் பாருங்க, பஞ்சமத்தை அப்படியே தொட்டுட்டார். ஏன் பஞ்சமத்தை போய் அவர் தொட்டார்? பஞ்சமம் பிடிக்காது இல்லையா பஞ்சமத்துக்கு? அது தொட்டா ஷி மே நாட் லைக் பஞ்சமம். ஐயோ பஞ்சம ஸ்வரம்னா he is not fit for எங்க ஆத்துக்காரர் இதுக்கெல்லாம் வரமாட்டார், அலெக்ஸ்க்கு தான் போவார். So here, as Krishna was playing the flute, the women were mesmerized. They all walked out of their houses. Not one or two, 5 lakh women folk. 5 lakh. Imagine 2-3 neighborhoods walking together. They all walked from where the origin of music was. They reached the banks of Yamuna. On the other side, below the tree, was standing Krishna. You know, the pose what he gives is another beautiful shloka Leela Shuka says. He was not standing. See, this photography has become very common these days. Now in marriages we have this candid photography. கொட்டாவி விடுறது, ஏப்பம் விடுறதெல்லாம் எடுத்துருவா. உலகமுண்ட பெருவாயா உலப்பில் கீர்த்தி அம்மானே. That photo. 20 years before, it was fixed photography. You have to go and stand. Parents who are never used to giving poses, they'll stare jahan se acha. Konja siringo tappilla. 10க்கு வரல கல்யாணத்துக்கு வந்திருக்கள். 70 years before, my grandmother used to state, in their village, they were introduced to photography then. So one person used to bring that bulb, it will burst. And then one photo. So the entire village gathered. While the photo was about to be taken, wait, one person said, wait, just give me a minute, I'll go home and come. Why? I have to put scent. So here, Krishna stands. See, Natya Shastram, that is why dance, people who admire dance will always be able to give that pose. If you don't know dance, the photographer will say, bend your head. So you have to stand. Generally the man or the woman have to stand in a pose. Natya Shastram says it is called Tribhangam. So your shoulder has to slightly bend. Your hip has to move the other side. One foot has to take an angle. Spondylitis. So here Krishna is standing in that pose. The women are seeing from the other side. Now Krishna says, you have come in such an unorganized manner, haphazard manner. Come here. Stand in concentric circles. They all stood. Imagine 5 lakh women folk leave even a foot gap between two circles. That pi r 2 minus pi r 1, how much ever that comes to the diameter, you leave that 1 foot space. And imagine 5 lakh women folk. How many? You have to see it as a bird's eye view from the top. Imagine you are having a drone camera and you are seeing it from the top. Krishna is standing in the middle. Women are standing in concentric circles. Krishna says, can you hear me? Hear me? Hear me. Last row. Yes, Krishna. Yes, Krishna. Yes, Krishna. Last circle. Now leave a gap, not that brand, gap, Krishna, leave. They all left. That lady, close your eyes. They all closed. Open your eyes. They opened. Here was one Krishna, this side was one Krishna. Angana mangana mantare madhavo madhavam madhavam chantare nangana ithama kalpite mandale madhyago sanjagau venuna devaki nandanaha. Krishna was the percussionist in the middle. They all stood. Now Krishna would play and they had to dance. They had no prior experience in dancing. One lady was very young, the other lady was just married, the other lady was Sashtadapurti Mami, the other lady was 80 years, she was taking vertigo tablets, so she can't dance so much, she has got some variations in BP, but still they were all in that queue. Bhattadri was again a bit confused in Narayaniyam. Could this little boy have organized so well? Are they HTGC or GC Vedic to organize it so well? So, can they organize it so well? He wondered. He closed his eyes. When he opened, he found Guruvayur missing, and they were in the middle of the forest, many women. There was some boy with beautiful hair tresses. He wanted to check who this boy was, why this woman around. He said, "Oh boy, who are you?" The boy turned. Then he recognized it was Krishna who had come to enact what he had done in Dwaparam in Guruvayur. As he saw, so he spoke. As he spoke, so he wrote. Keshapashadhrita pinchika vidasi sanchalan makara kundalam. Keshapashadhrita pinchika vidasi sanchalan makara kundalam. Harajalavana malika lalitam angaragagana saurabham. Pita chela dhrita kanchika chita mudangajam shumani nupuram. Rasa keli paribhushitam tavahi rupamisha kalayamahe. While dancing, one lady, I told you she was not used to dancing. As she was doing these movements, she swooned. Her BP came low and she swooned. As she swooned, she fell onto the shoulders of the neighboring Krishna. Because there is Krishna 1, Krishna 2, Krishna power n. It's a big circle, right? So she fell onto the shoulders of Krishna. The other Krishna went and bought some Bovonto and sprayed it on her face. This lady came back to consciousness. She should have stood, but she didn't. She didn't want to give away the opportunity of losing the opportunity, the bhagyam of having rested on the shoulders of Krishna. So she still acted as if she's unconscious. Bhattadri says, "Nyan kandu." എന്താണ് ചേച്ചി ഞാൻ കണ്ടല്ലേ? ഞാൻ നോക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. I am able to see. Bhattadri writes as he sees that lady. Svinna sannatanu vallari tadanu kapinama pashupangana sandramam samavalambate smadhrita tanti bharamukulekshana. Kachida chalita kuntala navapatira saraghana saurabham panchanena tava sanchuchumba bhuja manchitorupula kankura. Sanchu Chumba. See, if you read Rasa Krida and Rasa Panchadhyay, there will be certain incidents which you may think, should my child read this? Because as the lady was chewing the betel leaves, she would give the rest of it, the residue, and transfer it to the tongue of Krishna. So even before Mudalvan, so this happened. Now we may wonder, this is what, sir? My child, they will ask questions about this. What is Krishna doing? Now, the child can ask a relevant question when it is raining. When there were floods, Katrina, Karina, all these hurricanes come, right? When people are drowning, is the child going and lifting some mountain? So, Krishna's Vedanta, the Vedanta as displayed in Bhagavatam, is very simple. The entire world that is a repository of both Chetanam and Achetanam is his body. Understand the Vedantic portion here. We have a Jivatma in us. This is what Sanatana Dharma says. You can choose to believe or not believe. But Sanatana Dharma says there is a Jivatma in this material body. The body is perishable. The Jivatma isn't. The Jivatma is left untainted by the doshams that the body has. How, sir? If I get some hurt here, will that not affect Jivatma? No. Have you heard of Tirunelveli halwa? Halwa kuduthadan tappu, panna tappilla. So how will you make that? You have to take samba goduma, you have to soak it overnight, grind it, take that milk out of it, and then caramelize sugar. For Tirunelveli halwa, you have to caramelize to get that color. Then you should not add ghee to this, you have to add this to the ghee. It should keep shining. See, as it shines, you should be able to see Vaikuntham in it. So, that Tirunelveli halwa, there is sugar content, so it is very, very sticky. There is ghee, it's like a lubricant, so it's very, very shiny. You give this halwa to a child that has never ever consumed halwa. The child wouldn't know how to eat the halwa. So, besides eating, the entire body will also eat. Some halwa will fall on the feet, some in the hand, some on the face, and some will go inside. Then the mother or the father, being very, very conscious of hygiene, they will give some hand wash to the child and clean his feet, hands, her face. But will you clean the tongue with hand wash? What has consumed the halwa, which is sticky and lubricant in nature? The tongue. Everything in the body needs cleaning but the tongue. Because the stickiness of the halwa doesn't attach itself to the tongue, like how the doshams will never stick to the Jivatma. So the Jivatma is inside. This is the body. Now, if I use my hand and say there is another person, there is another person, I hit him. Right or wrong? Wrong. I am hitting him. He can always go and complain to the temple authority, Shivaramanji, he is misbehaving with me. Now, if I hit my arm, is it wrong? No. I am hitting my own body. The entire world is Krishna's body. So the Jivatma in all the Gopikastris and their bodies were his body. Sharira Shariri Bhavam. Shariri Atma Bhavam. So we say that, right? Bhupadau. The world is his feet. Yasya Nabhihi Vyadasura Chandra Suryaucha Netre Karna Vashaha Shirodhyauhu Mukhamapi Dahano Yasya Vasteyam Abhihi Antastham Yasya Vishwam Sura. Who's Sura? Talabadi. Who is Sura? Celestial. Sura. Nara. No, we will come in two categories. I'll tell you where. One, Nara. Sura, Nara. Khaga. Birds. Go. What is go? Cow. Bhogi. Very good. Snake. Gandharva. Yes, Satan. Gana Gandharvan. Gandharva. Daityahi. That is why I said we'll come in two categories. We are the Daityas. Kadavul Padi, Murgam Padi, Kalandu Saida Kalavai Nan. Our Alvar Pettai Alvar has said that. So, here, Sura Narakagago Bhogi Gandharva Daityehi Chitram Ram. Inna sir, idallan solreel. Chitram Ramna, அது பின்னாடி வர suffix. It is not ram specially. Chitram Ram, Ramyatetam, Tribhuvana Vapusham Vapu. The entire world is your body. Jagat Sarvam Shariram Te, says Ramayana. So if I touch my own body, it is not a mistake. When Krishna touched the Gopikas 3 and danced, he was touching his own body, says Vedanta. What if I don't believe in Vedanta? Then you have the right to ask question. If you believe Vedanta, you will never ask this question, because you have gone to the next level where you see the entire world as his body. Na shaindal Ashayum Agilamellame Arivai Manida Gauri Manohari Arivai Manida Un Arnavam Perida Padavayana Yadavaldadur Padavay Mudi Valdadur Patum Kuralum Nane Padunga. So he touches his own body. That is his own body. That is Rasa Krida. Now, there is no mention of Radha in Bhagavatam. There is no mention. Vishnu Puranam also doesn't mention. Mahabharatam doesn't mention. Now there will be one great Brihaspati. What he will do is he will put on Control F in Bhagavatam document and spot Radha and say, Idhar hai Radha. Array, that Radha is adjective. Radha in Sanskrit means love. So you can use certain words as adjectives also. For example, wood is a common noun. Correct? Then you will ask which wood? Neem, wood. Jackfruit, wood. You will say some wood. Wood is a common noun. Wood is also a proper noun. Many of them in the Western world will have this Mr. Wood. Maram. Mr. Wood. That is a proper noun. You can use it as a collective noun. If the animal has run into the forest, you say it has gone into the woods. That is a collective noun. That is what Rennacharya has said. Ren and Martinacharya, our Darshana Samsthapaka, they have said proper noun, common noun, collective noun. Now you can also use this as an adjective. If a person is not quick enough to answer Maram Manda, right? Wood head, which means nobody. So you can use a noun as an adjective as well. So Radha is an adjective in Bhagavatam. It is not a noun. But later in Devi Bhagavatam, Radhanoti Sakalan Kaman, Radheti Prakirtita, and in Padma Puranam, Skandam, later in Jayadeva's Ashtapadi, Radha comes important. Radha is a character, she becomes very important. But originally there is no Radha. Now, as Krishna was having all these pastimes, over every activity, Kamsa realized that this is the boy who has come to annihilate me. So he finds out and he sends his favorite minister, Akrura. Akrura, you go bring Krishna. Akrura was very, very innocent and very nice. Bhakti Shriman. So he starts imagining his route to Vrindavanam. How Krishna will welcome me. The moment Akrura enters Vrindavanam, they all offer different sweets. They entertain Akrura. Akrura tells that night, he discloses that night to Nandagopa, this is not your son. Nandagopa was in a shock. He has to go tell this to Yashoda. Yashoda couldn't believe her ears. No, you're really joking, Nandagopa. This is my son. No, ma, this is not our son. Akrura has said we had a girl whom we have lost. This is the boy, son of Devaki and Vasudeva. That night, Bhagavatam states, every second was like hell, Narakam, for Yashoda. That even a minute would seem like a yuga for her. It didn't pass. She was praying, let the sun not rise. The next morning when Krishna goes, those people say, who gave you the name Akrura? Akrura Sakrura Hridayaha. You are separating the gem of our life. Krishna sat in the chariot. Akrura had to drive the chariot. As the chariot goes, the Gopikas, trees just go running behind the chariot. They will never see, look at this irony, whom they have seen dance, sing, speak. They are never going to see him in their life ever again. Yashoda runs. She says, who is going to give my dear child that head bath? Who is going to give him that oil bath? Every morning he would ask for butter. Who will give him that butter? She runs behind the chariot. A sambhavam which, if you read in Bhagavatam, they say, Chandra grihe kimutu Chandra bhaga grihenu Radha grihenu bhavane kimu maitra vinde dhurto vilambita iti pramada bhiruchair ashankito nishimarut puranatha paya. So they all run. They're never going to see Krishna again. Krishna turns and gives those eye-long glances to them. They have to just capture the moment to reminiscence even in their later life. As Krishna crosses Yamuna and enters Mathura, there, those inmates of Mathura, here is our gem, back to our fold, back to pavilion. Mushtika Shura Chanura Malla Malla Visharada Kuvalaya Pita Nardana Kalinga Martana Gokula Rakshana Sakala Surakshana Deva Sishta Janapala Sankalpa Kalpa Kalpa Shatakoti Asama Parava Veera Munijana Vihara Madara Sukumara Daitya Samara Deva Madhura Madhura Rati Sarasa Sahasa Vraja Yuvati Janamana Zaput Swagatam Krishna. They all were holding. See, while discussing Bhagavatam, I keep touching Narayaniyam because Narayaniyam is the essence of Bhagavatam. Bhattadri was suffering from rheumatoid arthritis. He took that voluntarily from his guru called Trikandiyur Achyuta Pisharoti. He was suffering. Rheumatoid arthritis, fingers were bent, he couldn't stand, sit, do nothing. And always he had this question, I am devoted to Krishna, I get up every morning, I do Archana, I do Prasadam for him, I sing this. Why am I suffering? We all have this question, right? Why me? When others in Chicago are having a nice Saturday evening, why should we sit here? Why me? This why me is there, right? When we all suffer, we have this question, don't we? Why me? Bhattadri had this question, such a learned intellectual, a scholar par excellence, a poet extraordinaire, a consummate dramatist, a polymath and a polyglot to say the least. He had this question, why me? When Krishna enters Mathura, he reimagines and writes. That time he says, I told you, right, Jivatmas are eternal. We also lived during Krishna and Rama times. We were not born all of a sudden. As a stock comes down, Vaikuntham will not roll out Jivatma. It is not a bowling game. We are all there. We would have lived even during the times of Rama and Krishna. Bhattadri says, even I would have lived in Mathura during Krishna's time, when every inhabitant of Mathura got out of the house of theirs and they were standing with a welcoming plate to welcome Krishna. My mother or father would have called me out, come out, let's welcome Krishna. That time, I would have stayed inside my house out of sheer arrogance and would have said, why should I welcome Krishna? When everyone welcomed, I didn't welcome that time. For not welcoming Krishna that day, I am suffering from rheumatoid arthritis today. Tavannischita vaibhavas tava vibho natyanta papajanaha yatkinchit udate sma shaktyanugunam tamulamalyadhikam grinhanna kusumadi kinchanadata marge nibaddhanjalihi hatishta bataha yatodya vipulam artim vrajami prabho. I did not stand in Mathura to welcome you, Krishna. That is why in Guruvayur today I am suffering from rheumatoid arthritis. The implication is, without our Purva Janma karma, we will not be suffering today. So instead of getting into a very self-piteous mode, enakku poi ipdi vandudte, because we are our own makers of destiny. We have done. Maybe we have been good now. But that doesn't see 19 plus 18, 9 plus 8, if you take the units place and add, you will get 17. You put 7 down. 1 carry over. So there is a carry over. The karma of our previous janma is our carry over. And many janmas we have carryovers. We have to fulfill those karmas and then only in a nil balance we can go to Vaikuntha. Otherwise we have to keep being born. That is why Krishna says, Arjuna asks, this is a vicious circle, because if to, I don't know how many of you have heard of Ananda Sagarastavam? Ananda Sagarastavam. Anyone who has heard, who is the poet, composer? See, the beautiful work written in the 17th century, over 100 verses on the beauty of Meenakshi of Madurai. It was written by Neelakantha Dikshita. It is called Ananda Sagarastavam. If there are Sri Vidya Upasakas, read this work. Ananda Sagarastavam. In that, he says, he asks Meenakshi, see, he says, some people say, do your karma well. You have to do the Shraddham, Ityadi, you have to do. So they say, do your karma well. Nilakantha Dikshita says, okay, I'm doing my karma well. On the other hand, when I'm suffering, I'm asking, why am I suffering? They say, it is because of your karma. If we suffer, they say, it is because of karma. And then they say, do karma. Do your Nitya karma, Naimitika karma well. What should I do? He asks, whether should I do the karma or not do? Because if I suffer, they say it is because of karma. If I sit idle, they say, do your karma. What should I do? That is why Arjuna is confused. He says, you are Krishna, you are telling I've had many janmas and I've accrued karma. And you say that the only way to reach you is to fully get over that karma. But when I'm getting over that karma, well, I'm getting rid of karma, I'm also doing karma. You're able to understand it's a vicious circle. So how can I reach you? Tell me a way. You are giving all puzzles to me, prahellikas to me. That is when Krishna says, good question, Arjuna. The only way to reach me is to get rid of karma, but while doing the process of getting rid of karma, you're performing karma. So there's no way to get back to me. That is when he says, give the phalam of that karma to me. So when you are bereft of the karma phalam, the karma will not touch you. So you will get moksham. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja. See Arjuna, you have sanchita karma. Even if you are suffering because of prarabdham, once this prarabdham is over, some more part from the sanchitam will come. I, through my powers, will clear off that sanchita karma. There won't be any storage at all. So your storeroom will be empty. So what? Only that little karma that you have to suffer. So he says Sharanagati is the way. Now let's come back here. Bhattatri says it is my own karma which has caused. That is when Kuvalaya Pitam, the elephant was killed, Mushtika, Chanura were killed. You know, when a hero enters the city, that villain will send one water lorry to WWF champions. All this Kamsa does, and finally Krishna was able to kill Kamsa. And then he released his parents from the jail. He released Devaki and Vasudeva from the jail. Then Devaki asked, Krishna, I'm seeing you for the first time. She started shedding tears. Then she asked, like an Indian mom, she asked, what have you studied? She has to become, study? There is no school at all, mother, in Vrindavanam. You have not even been to kindergarten? What is kinder? I've been to garden but not kinder. You don't know to write your name? No, mother. Then she said, Vasudevji, let's go out of the jail later. First, using the Wi-Fi, check which is the closest school. Every school says required criteria, TC certificate. Where will I get TC? Nothing he has studied. That is when, through search engine optimization, they found that there was one school near Indore. It was called Avantika or Ujjain. Sandipani said 64 days, 63 nights, 99 only. One crash course. So let us put him there. Let him do his diploma degree. Then let's find some school. So Balarama and Krishna were put into that school. 64 days. If you have taken up music, you wouldn't have even completed, you would have completed Sarali Varisai, Janta Varisai, Melsthayi Varisai and Tattu Varisai. You would not even touched Alankara. If you have done dance, you would have done Aramandi and slowly some mudras, that's all. 64 days, this much you can attain. Shlokas, it depends on your caliber. If you have studied basic chemistry, Mendeleev's table, you may have completed some of the groups. You wouldn't have even come down to lanthanides and actinides. So 64 days can only bring so much. But what did Krishna do? He and Balarama learned 64 art forms in 64 days. One day Nyaya Shastram, second day Tarka Shastram, third day Mimamsa. He learned 64 arts. Aya Kalaigal Aravatti Non-Ginayum, 64 arts. Sir, is this humanly possible? You may ask. Not humanly possible. It is possible only to the one who's omniscient, who's Sarvajna, alone can do this. You should be a previously fed pen drive. See, pen drives can come empty or there will be data in it. He is a data pen drive. So for him, these 64 days were revision. See, some people amidst us are also like that. They carry the Purva Janma Vasana. I'll give you an example. In the last 120 years, see, we are remindful of this great Mahan during his birthday. Today is Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Paramacharya's birth date. So, Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Swami Paramacharya was a Bala Sannyasi. And things were not very rosy when he took up the position in Kanchi Kamakoti Peetham. 2 Peethadipatis had expired. So he attained that sannyasam at a very young age. If I'm right, some 8 or 9 years. If I'm right, not even 8. He attained very young age. And after becoming the Peethadipati, he had to do Vedadhyanam. See, generally a well-qualified person will come to the position, but he had to do all the studying after coming to that position. Little boy, imagine 8 years, 9 years, you are giving the entire mutt responsibility to that boy. Kuruvikkaluthile panangayai pole. So the mutt officials, I'm talking about 1910s and 15s, they thought if we keep him in a very busy city, Sishyas will keep coming and he can never learn Vedam. So they took him to a village called Mahendra Mangalam near Mushiri. So they took him there. It is a wide Kaveri. So it is very tough for Sishyas to cross the river and come. So they kept him there. He learnt Vedas, and then followed by Vedadhyanam, he had to do Veda Bhashyam, learning the essence of Vedas. So one aged person used to come and teach him the Veda Bhashyam. He used to come and Mahaperiva, that time he was a Bala Sannyasi, he was very playful. He will take one stick and play on the sands of Kaveri. He'll do some circle. And the teacher had to teach. The teacher found it very tough because you cannot even scold him. He's a Peethadipati. So how to deal with such a child? So what he did, one day he couldn't take the tantrums played by Mahaperiva. He fell prostrate at Mahaperiva and said, Mahaperiva asked, why are you? You're an aged person, you're falling at my feet. Sorry, sir, I can't teach you anymore. You are beyond my this thing because you're very playful. Mahaperiva asked, what is left to teach? He said, see, there are 4 more kandams in Yajurvedam. I have to give you that essence. I have to teach. 4 more kandams, right? I will tell you the essence of those 4 kandams. And he spoke. He told exactly what is there in the Veda Bhashyam that was not covered for him till then. Immediately this Acharya again fell at his feet. He asked, why are you falling at my feet now? There is nothing more to teach. Sarvagnyam, that is called Sarvagnyatvam. Certain people are born with that inbuilt knowledge. Certain people, how much ever you teach, they won't know. That's the other end of the spectrum. We should be somewhere in the middle. We may not have come with that inbuilt knowledge, but at least we should aspire to learn. That is why the shlokam is Gatva Sandeepaneem Atha Chatushashti Ratrim Ahobihi Sarvajnastvam Sahamusalina Sarvavidya Grihitva Putram Nashtam Yamanilayanad Akhritam Dakshinartham Datva Tasmai Nijapuramaga Nadayan Panchajanyam. So that is when Krishna had made friendship with one of his greatest friends. He was very much looking like Krishna. So people used to think he is Krishna because even couples, Dampati, if they manage to live together for many years together, then they will start looking like each other. 40, 50 years of Dampatyam, their faces, their habits, they will all be like each other. That is why Rama and Sita, they had similar dialogues. Hanuman had heard from Rama, Bhaskarena Prabhayata. Both of us are inseparable like the sun's rays that is inseparable from the sun. He said, when he went to Sita, Bhaskarena Prabhayata. Yo, rendu peru cholli vecha mari ore dialogue. I told one mama, will you please come to this upanyasam? Enakku puriyadu. Na mami kitta poi kitta avarku puriyadu. So this is that similarity. So, in Srimad Ramayanam, there is one place in Ayodhya Kandam where Rama tells Sita, I am going to the forest for 14 years, Sita. Please stay. The world is small. Let us stay in touch. I'll come back. Sita said, where are you leaving me? I am going to the forest. Where are you leaving me? In Ayodhya with your mother. And she had mothers-in-law. So, how will... So she said, Ram, ऐसा नहीं चलेगा. अवर क्योंकि सास भी बहु थी. You tell all this to Smriti. Don't tell it to me. I have to come to the forest. Then she tells, go check this in Ayodhya Kandam. Fact check me. She tells Rama, you think you can get rid of me and go. Remember, whoever is the husband and wife in this janma, they continue for 7 janmas is what the Shastra Vakyam says. I said in one Upanyasam, half my audience went away. Ivaroda inno yaru janmama. How you? Yeah, I will go to Naragam. So they start looking like each other. Uddhava was so much observing of Krishna that he imbibed Krishna's looks, habits. So people used to get confused whether it's Krishna or Uddhava. But over a period of time, Uddhava, he was Gishpati Putra. Gishpati Putra means Brihaspati Putra, very learned. But he developed that little arrogance. See, this is a general habit in Bharat Desham, especially if you go to Delhi, they'll be driving fast. The police stops. पता है कि मेरा बाप कौन है? पता नहीं है क्या तुम्हें? तुम्हें पता नहीं है कि तेरा बाप कौन है? पता नहीं है क्या? So you know who I am? That arrogance, power and position brings that arrogance. So Uddhava had that little arrogance. I know Krishna the best. I love Krishna the best. There is no one who can match my bhakti. He thought. Krishna knew face is the index of mind, and his arrogance was very well blatantly showcased on his countenance. Krishna wanted to give him a lesson. So he says, Uddhava, I had promised the Gopikas Threes that I will keep visiting them. But because of the administrative work that I have a lot of things to attend to. Can you go on my behalf? Because it was a big position to go on the king's behalf. So Uddhava went. As Uddhava's chariot entered Vrindavanam, the Gopikas Threes for a minute thought Krishna had come. So they all got whatever sweets they had. They all came and they came close to Uddhava, and one started wiping Uddhava, one started bringing chandanam paste, one said open your mouth, and he was about to say I am not Krishna. Mysore Pak. I am not Krishna. Again another gulab jamun is gone. So they started, one started pressing his feet, one started hugging him, one started making nice alankaram to his hair. That is when Uddhava started shedding tears. He was of the opinion that nobody could shower love on Krishna as much as he could. He now says, Evam bhakti sakala bhuvane nekshita nashrutava. He says, I have never seen bhakti, or I have never heard such kind of selfless love. Evam bhakti sakala bhuvane nekshita nashrutava kim shastraugaihi kimiha tapasa gopikabhyo namostu. All that I can do is only fall at the feet of Gopikas Threes to see the bhakti that they had. Ityanandakulam upagatam gokulat uddhavam tam drishtva hristo gurupurapate pahima mamayaugat. This Uddhava says, I've never seen such kind of a bhakti. Till we keep questioning Krishna Bhakti, it means we have not reached that stage. Bhagavatam says, Krishne Bhaktif Prajayate. If at all there is one devotion that is the pinnacle and that is peerless, it is Krishna Bhakti. Krishne Bhaktif Prajayate. Alvar says, Unnum shorum parugum neer thinnum vettilayum ellam kannan. See, Nammalvar says, when he heard that Krishna was tied to the mortar, he swooned. That is the bhakti we can't even imagine. See, we may wonder, why did he faint? He should have been very strong. He should have gone for a therapy. He would have stayed strong. That means we have not reached Krishna bhakti. Till we keep questioning that Krishna bhakti. So when you reach that level, pinnacle, the zenith, it reaches a certain level. What is that? Bell curve. It has to reach that top. Z is equal to 0, right? That line comes. You have to reach that line. So when you reach that bhakti, you wouldn't even question. Because when you teach Bhagavatam, be it Sadashiva Brahmendra, be it Madhusudana Saraswati, Meera, Surdas, Purandaradasa, Vijay Vittaladasa, Bhadraja, Ramdasa, Kshetraya, Tyagaraja, Swati Tirunal, Alvars, Shukabrahmam, Valmiki, Vyasa, Parashara, Pundarika, Narada, all they'll say Krishna Bhakti Prajayate. What is this Krishna? Why should I be only devoted to him? In my family, there is a different tradition. Do follow that tradition. That Krishna Bhakti is the highest of all bhaktis. You may ask, am I saying Bhagavatam Krishna Bhakti Prajayate? That highest form. That minute you get that Krishna Bhakti, that Shastram says you will start seeing Krishna around, it seems. Kakai chiraginile nandalala. When you look at a crow, you will see Krishna in it. Kariya niram thontrudada nandalala. Parkum marangalillam nandalala. When you look at a tree, the green hue will bring you memories of Krishna. Nindran pachai niram thontrudaya nandalala. Kakai chiraginile. Bharadiyar says, because if Alvar says Hindi theriyadu poda, we'll say. Shukabrahmam says, but Bharadiyar says in Tamil theriyum vada. Hindi theriyadu poda, for Hindi Tamil theriyum vada. Parkumarangalellam nandalala. Nildral pachai niram thontrudaya nandalala. Kakai chiraginile nandalala. Who saw Krishna everywhere? Here comes a lady called Rukmini. So tomorrow, the finale of Bhagavatham Sapthaham, which we will be doing of. There are a few things that I have left in Dashamaskandam. See, Dashamaskandam itself is 5,000 shlokas. How can I do justice? Even if I explain one or two shlokas, it will take so long. Bhagavatam is a big lifelong exercise that you can listen to many great Mahatmas. This is just an appetizer, that Mulagatani soup. This is that appetizer. So it's like that harabara kebab. At the start you get. So with this, you develop your Bhagavatam. You can read more, you can study more. See, Sanatana Dharma is also about our own research. We have to keep listening. We should not wait for the next Saptaham. You should start taking the book, learn, take effort. See, knowledge can never come to one's doorstep. It will not knock at your door and say, I want to come. You have to go in search of knowledge. So, please take the efforts. That much I can tell. There are other religions, other civilizations where they get funds for preaching, going house to house, door to door. Here we don't get any preaching. Even if we take some dakshina, people ask for Bhagavatam, why are you taking dakshina? So, in Sanatana Dharma, compared to that 1 billion population, we barely have Shastric speakers. Barely. The ratio will be for every 10 lakh, 15 lakh people, there will be one speaker. And how can we go door after door? You have to, now technology is so good. You can listen to so many lectures. Make it a point. Keep listening. Surely Shravanam gives you that knowledge. Don't make it like, adan kertachu. Pathukla. In the year, not kertachu. Overdose. Let this be the trigger. There are wonderful Mahatmas. If you are Telugu speaking, you have Chaganti Kotishwar Rao Garu, Samavedam Shanmukha Rao Garu, then you have got Garikapati. You can listen. ಕನ್ನಡದ ಬೇಕಂದರೆ ಪ್ರಭಂಜನಾಚಾರ್ಯರಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಆ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಬನ್ನಜಿ ಗೋವಿಂದಾಚಾರ್ಯರಿದ್ದರು, ನಾರಾಯಣಾಚಾರ್ಯ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ, ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರವಚನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ತಮಿಳು ವೇಳುಕುಡಿ ಕೃಷ್ಣನ್ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಇರ್ಕರ್, ಕರುಣಾಕರಾಚಾರ್ಯ ಇರ್ಕರ್, ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪ್ರೇಮಿ ಅಣ್ಣ ಇರ್ಕರ್, ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಶ್ರೀ ಸುಂದರ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಅಣ್ಣ ಇರ್ಕರ್, ಎತ್ತನೆಯೋ ಮಹಾನ್ಗಳು. ಮಲಯಾಳದ ಉದಿತ್ ಚೈತನ್ಯ, ಅವಾಯ್ವ, ಕನ್ನೋಚೂರ್ ವೆಂಕಟರಾಮನ್. There are people, listen. Don't get this cult thing. I will listen only to him. No. In bhakti, you should not have this cult. Listen to a variety of people. If I cover 10 topics, 10 ways, there's another Mahat who will say 20 more things. Become like a bouquet. We should not become this cult following. If I listen to him, that special organization, I will listen only to that organization. Why? We are not attached to any organization. We are all in that one boat called bhakti. Listen. Bahudha shrotavyaha, bahubhya shrotavyaha. Keep listening. Listening is the key. You have to keep listening. As you listen, that interest in Bhagavatam will come. You will start. At times, if your interest is so genuine, you won't believe. Maybe a week later, one of your relatives will come and they'll say, see, I bought one Bhagavatam book. I don't know. I'm not able to carry that the weight in my suitcase, so I'll leave it in your house. You'll be surprised. 1 week ago, I heard Bhagavatam, how that book has come to you. 2 days later, you'll get a message from some orbit person. Some Zoom classes are beginning on Bhagavatam. Are you willing to join? See, nature, alchemist says, right, Paulo Coelho, if you aspire for something, nature will make you achieve that. True. Somehow you desire from the bottomest of your heart, somehow it will reach you. That is how bhakti is. You have to take the first step. Let knowledge come to me. It will never come. You have to take that effort. Work hard. Then only knowledge will come. I told you, this is not the civilization that lures people through money, nor through fear. People ask, see, in other religions, they are taking so much effort. This religion's DNA doesn't have that. This DNA itself is, you can think it's a blemish also, can't help it. We don't have those funds to bring another 100 people to the dharma. Keeping Hindus as Hindus itself is so tough. Forget about bringing people from other religion. Hindus themselves, they became Vokeshwara, Vokanayaka, Vokapriya, Vokapujita. Why did Krishna do that? Why did Rama do that? If belief comes into a system, every religion can be questioned. But no other religion will allow such question. Only we will allow. எப்படி கேட்கலாம் தெரியுமா? எப்படி ராமரை கேள்வி கேட்கலாம் தெரியுமா? பெருமை தான். மாட்டிக்கணும் கழுத்தில். So, we are saying question, but first read. पहले तो पढ़ लो. See, without studying organic chemistry, Morrison and Boyd, how does benzene resonance stabilization happen? Tell me the formula of benzene first, and that they won't know. First read. See, I'll just tell you one small initiative. Ramajanma Bhoomi temple. After 5-6 centuries of bloodshed, fight, finally one temple is getting built for Rama in his birthplace. We are not building it in Scotland or Arabia. In Ayodhya, one temple for Rama has taken so many centuries of battle. So people have poured money and a beautiful temple is coming up. That is Prameyam. Prameyam means Vigraham which you are worshipping, who is the object of your worship. But my thought was, people will visit Ayodhya. Lakhs will throng to have darshan of the Prameyam, but no knowledge of Pramanam. If you check Ramayana, see, when I used to be in Pilani, outside, just outside our campus, we used to have some of the speakers in Hindi language. They'll call Maharaj. They will sit on a gaddi and they'll start speaking. So I thought, I'm missing the lectures of South India. Let me go listen to Ramayana. They said 10-day lectures. So I would go. 1 lakh people will be assembled. I'll go there. Sita Ram ji ne Sita Maya se शादी किया, दोनों बन गए, बन जाने के बाद, अरे all this even I know. राम जी ने सीता मैया से शादी किया, मुझे पता है. अरुण गोविल did that. But beyond that we we want to understand the depth. But there will be no depth, but there will be 1 lakh people. So the interest to listen is there, but delivery, nobody is there. So that is when, as a small initiative from the trust that I manage, a registered trust called Deshika Daya Trust, we thought, let's equip people with the knowledge of Ramayana. Ram temple and all, we don't have the financial status to build. At least I can tell Ramayana. Then if I tell in Tamil, immediately YouTube comments, sir, we don't know Tamil. Tell it in Telugu. So the only language that if nobody has a problem is English. We have to borrow from the Britishers, colonial hangover. So I speak in English. Then there will be one problem. Singapore people will say, oh, the accent is slightly different. La? What la? It's a bit different la. And then I can't speak the fast and the masters and the mask here. So there is a different... so I speak in my Indian accent English, giving importance to every letter. We will speak. So I speak because if I speak for 2 hours, parents say, oh, my daughter doesn't have the time at all. So 15 minutes I speak. 15 minutes. You even keep my phone on while you're brushing. You listen. See, where you listen doesn't matter. How you listen doesn't matter. Listen. So, 292 episodes I'm speaking in simple Indian accent English for 15 minutes every day. It is available for free on YouTube. It also comes in India, in Shankara TV, Jio Channel, Jio Plus, Jio 7, everywhere. All that you have to do as parents, if there are parents and grandparents, prospect grandparents, now we share so many things on WhatsApp. Right, forwarded many times, that message will also be there. Right? So, what did Trisha tell Karthi? Now, share these Ramayana talks with your children. No, some parents are very sure and they won't listen. Trust me, you send 50 times, the 51st time your child will listen. They will at least want to honor your hard work. Children are very genuine. They'll at least listen 15 minutes. Those 15 minutes can tell them what they already know or will tell them what they don't know. There are only 2 options. Either they know or they don't know. If they don't know, they'll listen. If they know, they will revise. 15 minutes. 292 episodes. So they will have some knowledge of Ramayana, because everybody, why did Rama send pregnant Sita to the forest? Why did he do Agni Pariksha? Why did he fight against Vali? Why did he, while fighting Karadushana, he went 1 step behind? Why did Dasharatha aspire for sons and not daughters? Why did Kaikeyi send Rama to the forest? Why did Mantara have to take vengeance on Rama? Why did Bharata not go back to Ayodhya? Why did Rama have to interfere in brothers' fight of Sugriva? And why did Vibhishana leave his brother Ravana and come? You get all these questions? All these questions will have an answer. Listen patiently. 292 episodes. We do binge watch for many things, right? Why can't you binge watch Ramayana? I'm asking. So it is your hands. Parents, you have to take the responsibility, because many of them will come with suggestions. Do this, do that. For my children, I'll come up. You have to do one new session. How? One? I have 2 hands, 1 mouth. What more can I do? I have a limit. It is the parents who have to listen, equip themselves, teach their children. You have to learn that answer. Then the child will, you answered well twice. That child will think twice before asking you the next question. So you equip yourself. Become the torch bearers of Sanatana Dharma. You take that responsibility. Keep listening. Keep reading. You can get. See, many of you have accomplished so much in your life. When I talk to each of you, where you have studied, what you are in your professional life, what you have achieved, marvel. Many of you I really admire. Why is Ramayana tough? You can listen. Listen, equip yourself. When you learn the answers to those questions, your child will never ask. They will respect you. Ignorance will never be respected. Knowledge will be respected. Kattrorukku sendra vidamellam sirappu. Learned people will get that respect. You become ambassadors. Of course, you will not be paid. But do it for the dharma. You don't have to go house after house preaching, "Are you suffering now?" Don't do all that. Tell your own children. Keeping Hindus as Hindus is the biggest challenge today. So, this is my earnest request. I'm sorry I may have taken 10 minutes extra time. Listen to these lectures. How many of you have listened to all the lectures of Ramayana, of Rama Janmabhoomi that I've made in YouTube? Some. Okay, that's okay, some. So those who have not listened, it's a simple thing. You have to go to my website, my YouTube channel, and you'll find it's in English. You can surely understand, your child can understand. I may not speak that accent, but they can understand. So please do listen, share it with your children, they will listen. It's a collective responsibility. Think, Sanatana Dharma is a collective, it's not one person's responsibility. What are you doing? It's your dharma, it is your religion, it is your civilization. You have to work. It is not some Mathadipati's responsibility. You are a part of that dharma. Work towards it. Make your grandchildren listen. I'm sure they are all very good children. They are unbiased. In a way, I'll tell you, the current generation is very clear. They are very good children. Show them. Let them understand. After that, if they choose to adhere or not adhere, it is their karma. कवितार्किक सिंहाय कल्याण गुणशालिने श्रीमते वेंकटेशाय वेदांत गुरवे नमः। स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महिषाः। गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृतिस्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। कल्याणरूपाय कलौ जनानां कल्याणधात्रे करुणासुधाप्ते कंवादि दिव्याय युध सत्कराय वातालयाधीश नमो नमस्ते। नारायण 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 नारायण। Thanks to Vaibhav.
I will also request Dushyanth ji to honor him with a gift card from GC Vedic.
All the very best.
Few minutes, a lot of instructions. I will forget some of them. Pardon me if I am. Tomorrow is a concluding day. The Mahaprasadam or Kalyana Bhojanam is organized by Sivaraman and his wife, and with the help of the temple kitchen. That's first thing. The second thing is there is a program coming up tomorrow in the morning between 10:30 a.m. and 12 at the Northwestern Indiana temple. It's a Bharatiya Hindu temple of Northwestern Indiana. It is in Merrillville. And if anybody is interested, its admission is free. It's about 60 miles away from here. You can come and join. Lunch is free there also. And there are a couple of other instructions which I wanted to give you. Dushyanth ji was talking about Sanatana Dharma. You are the champions and torch bearers. Take a picture of GC Vedic poster outside. It has got a contacts and mission. If you have any question, email us and then we will send it back to him. And then if you could not find any information, we will be happy to get you that information. If you are not getting an email from GC Vedic, register with us. We will send flyers and others. That's another thing. Today we have a limited amount of the Naivedya Prasadam. Don't take more than one. Don't carry for your somebody at home. Please be considerate, because we never expect a sudden quick turnout or something. And also the prasadam is also limited. Make sure that take whatever you can, and please help yourself. Tomorrow we will meet here at 3 o'clock, and thank you very much for all of you. And I need the volunteers to come back on stage. We need to disassemble the setting here, and then we have to put it on the totes, and then we have to redo it tomorrow. Volunteers who helped us put this assembly, please come here. And lastly, the prasadam, if Shivaraman, if you can give whatever is there to all those persons who are interested, that would be nice. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful night.
So, Astikas, if some of you are interested to learn Srimad Narayaniyam, the Samskrita Bhakti Grantham, there are two wonderful Astikas here. Mami, Vango. So, and then we have Rajesh. So, if you're interested, please get in touch with them. I have Mami, Rajesh is known. He's been living in Chicago. And Mami,
we will transmit their data to you. Yeah.
So I'll tell you about Mami. Mami's father, revered father, he's no more. He used to be managing the Astika Samajam in Matunga, if you're all used to Bombay. So that's one of the very old organizations, and Anantarama Dikshitar used to be hosted in that Samajam. Now her brother is doing Kainkaryam in that temple. So Mami, I know her from Bombay, and then she used to come in the Middle East also for my lectures. Ippo inga vandirukka illaya Chicago. So she handles classes in Narayaniyam. Bhagavatham edukkrelo. Bhagavatham also she handles. See, today I was just reminded the moment I saw her. So if you're interested to learn Bhagavatam, please, Sundarakandam also she may take. And Rajesh is a very own Chicago person, so he's also taking Narayaniyam classes. Please, if those of you who are interested, please take their coordinates, and then you can continue classes with them. Yeah, thank you.